1990 Detroit riot. After the Pistons clinched their second straight title on June 14th, things exploded back home in Detroit. The win happened in Portland, but celebrations in the city spiraled fast. Over 21,000 fans watched peacefully inside the Palace, but outside the arena was a whole different story. Minutes after the game ended, around 11:30 at night, crowds flooded into the streets, and it didn't take long before it all went off the rails. What started as a celebration turned into straight-up chaos. Looting, violence, gunshots, people throwing bottles at cops. It spread through Detroit and even reached nearby suburbs like Roseville and River Rouge. Police were stuck working extra hours just trying to get control. The defense units were responding non-stop to smashed storefronts and emergency calls. By the end of the night, 8 people were dead. 4 were hit by a Ford Thunderbird, including 2 young boys, a teen girl, and a man in his 20s. The driver got slapped with 4 counts of second-degree murder. A 19-year-old was shot and killed in a parking lot. A 21-year-old fell from a roof. 2 more were killed in separate vehicle incidents, including a 4-year-old. Hospitals took in at least 124 people, and 26 had been shot. There were stabbings, beatings, and over 140 arrests made in Detroit alone. In River Rouge, 28 young people were arrested for trashing police cars and damaging property. This wasn't the first time Detroit saw trouble after a championship, but this one was by far the deadliest. The Tigers' win in 1984 had brought trouble too, but nothing like this. And compared to the calm after the Pistons' title in '89, the violence in 1990 was staggering. Warriors-Timberwolves game postponement. On January 24, 2026, the Timberwolves were set to face the Warriors at Target Center in a game broadcast nationally. But hours before tip-off, federal officers shot and killed 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Preddy just 2 miles from the arena. The shooter was a Border Patrol agent with 8 years of service. Officials claim Preddy had a firearm, and the confrontation escalated quickly. Some footage showed agents engaging with a man on the ground, but angles were unclear. The shooting came during an already tense month in Minneapolis. Earlier in January, another 37-year-old Renee Good was fatally shot by an ICE agent. Protests were already building, and by the 23rd, thousands were marching through the city. Demonstrators passed by the Target Center and even the hotel where the Warriors were staying. With that kind of atmosphere, in the presence of roughly 3,000 federal agents across the metro, things were on edge. By afternoon, the National Guard was deployed for crowd control. That evening, the NBA officially postponed the game, citing safety concerns for the city. The game was moved to Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, with another matchup still scheduled for Monday night. Postponements like this are rare in league history. The NBA typically avoids changing schedules unless public safety is directly impacted. The Players Association also responded, issuing a statement of support for protesters and emphasizing that players didn't want to stay silent on civil rights issues. Other teams in Minnesota, including the Vikings, Twins, Lynx, Wild, and Minnesota United, all echoed calls for peace and supported efforts to protect the community. The Twins even ended their Winter Fan Festival early that Saturday to ensure guests could leave safely after the protests reached downtown. Michael Jordan, rookie injury. October 26, 1984 marked the first NBA night for Michael Jordan at Chicago Stadium against Washington. The Bulls won 109-93, but the moment that nearly changed everything came early. In transition, Jordan attacked the baseline and rose toward the rim. Jeff Rulin stayed planted underneath, and contact happened in midair. Jordan's body twisted, and he came down hard, landing awkwardly on his back. The arena froze. He stayed on the floor for several seconds, completely still, while teammates and opponents looked on. Trainers moved in quickly. After a tense pause, Jordan got up on his own and walked to the bench with help. There was no stretcher, no early exit, just visible relief across the building. Despite the scare, he stayed in the game. That mattered. He logged 40 minutes and finished with 16 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 4 blocks. The shooting wasn't efficient at 5 of 16, but the activity level stood out. He impacted scoring, passing, rebounding, and defense from the jump. Context makes the fall even heavier. Jordan was the 3rd pick in the draft and still adjusting to the physical side of the league. This was his first regular season dunk attempt, happening before the crowd really knew what to expect. One awkward landing had the potential to shift everything. Instead, the night kept moving. Chicago controlled the game, and Jordan kept attacking. He didn't miss time that season, played all 82 games, and earned Rookie of the Year. That brief moment on the floor stands out as one of the earliest reminders of how fragile even legendary careers can be. That split second showed how quickly momentum can flip in professional basketball, especially for rookies learning speed, spacing, strength, and risk, all while crowds, lights, and expectations press down nonstop every night. Racism and the Celtics. In the middle of the 2016 season, Celtics guard Marcus Smart was just trying to drive home after a game. As he pulled up outside TD Garden, he saw a woman and her son crossing the street in front of him. The light turned green, so he honked and shouted a warning. What came back stunned everyone nearby. She turned, wearing a Celtics jersey, and screamed a racial slur at him. People who had just watched him play stood there in shock. The same fans who cheered minutes earlier flipped instantly. That moment stuck with Smart. Not because he was shocked that racism exists, but because of how fast the mask dropped. He said it wasn't pain, it was disappointment. Playing for a city, wearing their name across your chest, and still being reminded that the jersey doesn't erase everything. Decades earlier, Celtics legend Bill Russell had endured far worse. While winning titles and dominating the league, he came home one night to find his house had been vandalized, walls were spray painted with slurs, trophies were smashed, someone defecated on his bed. His daughter later wrote about the incident, calling it shambles. Russell loved his team, but never felt welcome in the city. Despite Boston's complicated past, the Celtics franchise was ahead of its time. They drafted the league's first black player, started the first all-black lineup, and made Russell the NBA's first black head coach. Red Auerbach pushed boundaries, even when the city didn't. Players like Kevin Garnett later said wearing that jersey felt like armor. If you gave everything, Boston gave it back. But for many, the moment you stepped off the floor, things changed. For Smart and Russell, it wasn't about basketball. It was about what followed you after the final whistle. Marvin Tire Iron Barnes. In 1972, Marvin Barnes wasn't just a star at Providence College. He was a dominant force, putting up over 20 points and nearly 18 boards a game. But that same year, everything shifted off the court. On October 19th, inside a campus dining hall, Barnes approached his teammate, Larry Ketvertis, and hit him in the face with a tire iron. Ketvertis had fractured bones in his face and damage near his eye, forcing him out of a season where Providence would end up in the Final Four. It's believed things started during a rough practice when Ketvertis accidentally elbowed Barnes, loosening his teeth. Whatever the cause, the fallout was massive. A grand jury indicted Barnes for assault with a dangerous weapon. He pleaded not guilty at first, but ended up with probation instead of jail. Somehow, he stayed on the team through it all. Ketvertis would later win a civil case, with Barnes being ordered to pay him $10,000. Barnes had already earned the nickname Bad News before that, and this incident only cemented it. His defense in the court system didn't end there. In 1976, he violated probation when a loaded gun was found in his bag at Detroit Metro Airport. That landed him behind bars for over 150 days. This wasn't just some isolated moment. It followed him throughout his life, shaping how teams and legal systems handled him. The fact that he kept playing after everything happened shows how different things were in the early 1970s. No team suspension, no pause, just a Final Four run with one major piece missing. The story's still remembered today as one of the darkest off-court moments in college basketball history. But when we talk about these stories, it's fun to get in on the action. And Underdog Fantasy is the best place to get in on all the action. The way it works is simple. You just pick whether players go higher or lower on their stats, and you build an entry in seconds. For this week, I'm riding with a 2-pick entry I really like. I've got Brandon Miller, higher than 30.5 points, plus rebounds, plus assists. He's getting the usage, the minutes, and the green light, and that combo number lines up perfectly. Then I'm pairing that with Kenneth Walker III, higher than 16.25 fantasy points in the big game. If he gets his normal workload, that projection is very reachable. I threw $50 on this entry, and if both picks hit, it's a 3 times payout. That's why I love Underdog. Simple picks, clean sweat, and real upside. If you want to play along, download the Underdog app today and use promo code EXPLAIN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code EXPLAINed. Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, and 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. You must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, or Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Rudy Gobert microphone incident. In early March 2020, Rudy Gobert spoke to the media at a Utah Jazz press session. After answering questions, he leaned over and touched every microphone and recording device on the table, one by one. Cameras caught him doing it with a smirk, treating it like a joke. At the time, the coronavirus was spreading fast, and health precautions were just starting to be taken seriously in the league. The microphones were there because players were talking about the NBA's health policies. Tensions were rising, and the league was trying to figure out how to respond to the pandemic. Gobert's gesture was seen as mocking the concern, brushing off the growing fear by treating it like a punchline. Then 2 days later, it all blew up. Gobert tested positive for COVID-19, becoming the first NBA player to be diagnosed. The news hit immediately, and the league didn't wait. That same day, the entire NBA season was suspended. Donovan Mitchell also tested positive shortly after. The Jazz were now at the center of a global story. News clips and social media lit up with the footage of Gobert at the podium, playing with the mics. His moment, meant to be playful, instantly became one of the defining visuals of the league's shutdown. It wasn't just about health anymore. It became a public moment, tied to the seriousness of the situation. The date of the interaction was around March 11th, and the location was a routine post-practice media setup. The gesture didn't seem serious then, but the fallout was enormous. What started as a quick joke ended with the entire league on pause. That one gesture became a symbol of the NBA's sudden collision with the pandemic. Kevin Love panic attack. On November 5th, 2017, during a game against Atlanta, Kevin Love experienced something he'd never felt before. Right after tip-off, something felt off. By the third quarter, his heart was racing, the air felt thick, and he couldn't breathe right. He left the game midway and headed straight to the locker room. From there, he was taken to a hospital. At 29 years old, he was a star on a championship team, but his body was reacting like it was under attack. He said it felt like his brain was trying to climb out of his head and his mouth went dry like chalk. Doctors ran tests, and everything came back normal. Physically, he was fine. That's when he realized it was a panic attack, not an injury, not something that could be iced or taped. It was something internal. Love had been stressed. He wasn't sleeping much. The pressure of performance, family issues, and everything else had piled up. He'd never had a panic attack before, and he didn't know what it was until it hit him mid-game. 4 months later, he went public. On March 6, 2018, he wrote an essay called "Everyone is Going Through Something." It was one of the first times an active NBA player had opened up about something like this. He admitted he used to hide everything and hated talking about personal stuff. That changed. Love started therapy. He also launched the Kevin Love Fund, aimed at providing mental health resources and education. The reaction around the league was massive. Teammates like LeBron James showed support, and it sparked a wider conversation in the NBA. Since then, Love's story has helped push mental health to the forefront in sports, becoming a reference point for athletes everywhere. Magic Johnson's attempted return in 1992. On November 7, 1991, Magic Johnson announced he had tested positive for HIV and immediately retired from the Lakers. The sports world froze. Back then, the virus was widely misunderstood and fear was everywhere. But Magic wasn't done. Fans still loved him, and he was voted in as a starter for the 1992 All-Star Game in Orlando. He played, dropped 25 points with 9 assists and 5 boards, and walked away with the MVP trophy. It was a high-profile return, but not everyone was cheering. Karl Malone was the loudest voice raising concern. He didn't question Magic as a person, but made it clear he didn't feel safe sharing the court. Cuts and scabs happen in games, he said, and even a small risk was too much for him. John Stockton echoed the concern. On the flip side, Charles Barkley and others said they weren't afraid to play. At that time, doctors already knew HIV wasn't transmitted through casual contact or normal basketball play, but medical facts weren't enough. The fear was real, even irrational, and stigma drove the conversation. Magic didn't return for the full season. He played in the All-Star game, later joined the Dream Team in Barcelona, but a regular season comeback didn't happen right away. The concerns? including Malone's public comment, became part of the reason. The NBA tried to educate players, but the unease stuck around. Years later, Magic shared how painful it was to hear teammates question his presence on the court. He eventually returned during the 1995 and 96 season, but by then, the narrative had changed. That 1992 moment still stands as one of the most complicated returns in NBA history. Chicago Bulls championship riots. After the Bulls won their first title on June 12, 1991, parts of Chicago erupted in chaos. Looting and shootings spread through neighborhoods, with over 100 arrests and 2 teens injured by stray bullets. It was just the beginning. The next year, things exploded. June 14, 1992, saw the most severe unrest after the Bulls' second title. Hundreds of businesses were looted, fires were set, police cars and cabs were overturned. Officers and civilians were injured in violent clashes. More than 1,000 arrests were made, and damage stretched across the city, reaching into the millions. Police vehicles were wrecked, and there were widespread reports of gunfire. That year's unrest wasn't just bigger, it was deeply damaging. Then came June 20th, 1993. The Bulls clinched again, and the violence followed. The South and West sides would hit the hardest. Nearly 700 arrests were made. Multiple people died, including a 15-year-old boy shot at an apartment, a 12-year-old hit by a stray bullet at home, and a 26-year-old woman killed during the violence. It became one of the deadliest championship celebrations in Chicago's history. By 1996, the city tried to get ahead of the chaos. Thousands of extra officers were deployed. Still, over 600 arrests were made, 38 businesses were hit, and 4 people were shot. The scale was smaller, but the danger remained. In 1997, smaller outbreaks happened after the title win. Some shootings and arrests followed, but no massive riot. By 1998, things had changed. No major unrest followed the 6th title, likely thanks to crowd control, security, and public appeals for calm. Across the decade, each riot left scars: looted stores, injured civilians, police confrontations, and a heavy price for celebration gone wrong. Knicks-Lakers brawl. In January of 1988, the New York Knicks traveled to Inglewood to face the defending champs at the Forum. The Lakers were stacked: Magic, Kareem, Worthy, and the Knicks were scrappy under Rick Pitino. But that night, the action turned ugly. It started with a hard play in transition. AC Green made contact with Knicks. Forward, Pat Cummings. Cummings didn't just brush it off, he threw a punch. Things escalated fast. Lakers guard Michael Cooper jumped in, and players from both teams got involved. It wasn't just pushing. It turned into a full-on brawl. Benches cleared, punches were thrown, and chaos took over center court. The officials eventually regained control, but the damage was done. The NBA reviewed the fight and didn't take it lightly. 7 Knicks and 8 Lakers were fined, totaling $16,750. Cummings and Cooper each got a 1-game suspension for their roles in the chaos. AC Green, who sparked the incident, was fined $750. Despite the madness, the game kept going. The Lakers edged out the Knicks in a 113-112 finish. The fight didn't derail the champs, but it did spotlight how raw things could get back then. This was before automatic suspensions for leaving the bench, before high-definition replays made every shove go viral. Back then, fights like these were part of the game's rough edge. The Knicks-Lakers clash wasn't as infamous as later brawls, but it was a clear example of how intense and volatile things could get on the court, especially when pride, physicality, and frustration all collided in one tight regular season battle. It was a throwback to a grittier NBA era, and it left both teams bruised, fined, and missing key players the next game. Russell Westbrook fan confrontation. On March 11, 2019, during a game between the Thunder and Jazz in Salt Lake City, things escalated off the court. Westbrook was on the bench in the second quarter when he suddenly stood up and confronted 2 courtside fans. According to Westbrook, one of them told him to get down on your knees like you used to, which he interpreted as racist and demeaning. A nearby fan filmed the moment. In the video, Westbrook shouted back, threatening both the man and his wife with profanity. His exact words were caught on camera, sparking headlines and league responses. The NBA fined Westbrook $25,000 for directing threatening and profane language at a fan. The Utah Jazz launched their own investigation. After reviewing footage and gathering witness statements, they issued a lifetime ban to the fan, Shane Keisel, citing excessive and derogatory verbal abuse. The team stated clearly that personal attacks had no place in the arena. Keisel denied using racist language. He claimed his comments were playful and later filed a lawsuit against Westbrook and the Jazz for $100 million, citing defamation and emotional distress. He alleged the aftermath led to job loss and threats against him. Westbrook's teammates supported him. Raymond Felton confirmed hearing the fans' taunts and said players shouldn't be subjected to that kind of abuse. Jazz guard Donovan Mitchell also spoke out, backing the ban and calling out racist behavior. This wasn't an isolated moment. The league had already faced criticism for past fan incidents, and this one reignited conversations around player safety, fan conduct, and arena policies. It led to stricter enforcement and more public awareness of boundaries between fans and athletes in NBA environments. Sacramento, Stephon Clark protests. On March 18, 2018, 22-year-old Stephon Clark was shot and killed by Sacramento police in his grandparents' backyard. Officers fired 20 rounds, believing he had a gun. They found only a cell phone. The shooting sparked immediate outrage, and within days, downtown Sacramento became a center for protest. On March 22nd, the Sacramento Kings were set to host the Atlanta Hawks. Outside Golden One Center, protesters formed a human chain, blocking entrances and preventing fans from entering. The game was delayed nearly 20 minutes. Thousands of ticket holders were left outside, unable to get in. Police were deployed around the arena, but no major violence broke out at the gates. When the game finally tipped off, there was no anthem, no player introductions, and large sections of the arena sat empty. Many fans never made it inside. The Kings later offered refunds and accommodations to affected fans. Inside the building, Kings owner Vivek Ranadive addressed the crowd after the final buzzer. He expressed sympathy for Clark's family and emphasized the team's commitment to unity and peaceful dialogue. He said the franchise recognized its role in the city and the importance of being a part of conversations around justice. Players from both teams acknowledged the protests during the night. Some shared thoughts about the situation and what it meant to see such a strong message surrounding a regular season game. The protests didn't stop there. Similar demonstrations continued across Sacramento, with other Kings games seeing disruptions at arena entrances. Protest leaders pushed for accountability, but also urged peaceful conduct at each event. This moment forced the NBA to face civil unrest head-on, not through a player statement or a jersey slogan, but with physical disruption at the gates, highlighting the deep connection between sports, tragedy, and community activism. James Harden versus Daryl Morey. In August of 2023, while at an Adidas event in China, James Harden stunned the basketball world. With cameras rolling, he said, "Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of." He repeated the statement again, word for word, making his message crystal clear. It wasn't vague. It wasn't subtle. It was a full-on public call-out of the Philadelphia 76ers top executive. At the time, Harden had already picked up his player option for the upcoming season, but had also asked for a trade, his eyes set on joining the Clippers. When trade talks stalled and the front office showed no urgency to move him, the frustration boiled over. That's when he made the now infamous statement in front of a global audience. The league responded fast. The NBA fined Harden $100,000, the maximum allowed under league rules, citing conduct detrimental to the league. The 76ers kept quiet publicly, offering no direct counter. Meanwhile, media outlets dissected the moment, noting how rare it was to see a player publicly accuse a team executive of lying, especially one he'd worked with for years. Morey and Harden had a long history together, dating back to their successful run in Houston. But by the time Harden made those comments, that relationship had clearly collapsed. By the end of 2023, the trade finally happened. Harden, along with PJ Tucker and Filip Petrusev, was sent to the Los Angeles Clippers in exchange for players, picks, and assets. It closed the chapter on his time in Philadelphia and marked the end of a professional partnership that had once looked unbreakable until it all fell apart in public, one sentence at a time. Jusuf Nurkic leg injury. On March 25, 2019, late in double overtime against the Brooklyn Nets, Jusuf Nurkic went up for a rebound at the Moda Center. What happened next silenced the entire arena. In a tangle under the basket, Nurkic came down awkwardly on his left leg. Immediately, he collapsed, clutching it in pain. Players turned away. Medical staff rushed in. No one needed a replay to know it was serious. He'd suffered compound fractures to both the tibia and fibula. That meant the bones broke and pierced the skin, one of the worst leg injuries possible in basketball. The Blazers confirmed it was season-ending. He was stretchered off the floor, the building quiet, except for shocked murmurs and shaken teammates. At the time, Nurkic had 32 points and 16 boards. A dominant performance stopped cold by one wrong landing. The next day, surgery was performed to stabilize the breaks. No timetable was given. The injury was so severe, there were real doubts about whether he'd return the same, but the NBA shutdown that followed in 2020 gave him more time to heal. Nearly 16 months later, Nurkic returned in the Orlando bubble. His first game back, 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 blocks in an overtime win. It was one of the most brutal injuries seen live on court in years, the kind that reminds everyone how quickly a season or a career can shift. He didn't just return, he walked back onto that court and produced. His journey from that stretcher to that stat line became a defining moment in how the league views recovery, resilience, and the physical toll big men endure. This wasn't just an injury, it was a battle won. Magic and Isaiah rumor rift. For this, we need to go back to Magic Johnson. Because of widespread ignorance about HIV at the time, some started questioning how Magic contracted it. Rumors about his sexuality took off, and he found himself defending not just his health, but his identity. He made it clear in interviews that he was not gay or bisexual, and stated he believed he contracted the virus through heterosexual activity. But in the book, When the Game Was Ours, Magic went a step further. He said that one of the most painful parts of that period came from someone close, Isaiah Thomas. According to Magic and his longtime agent, Lon Rosen, Thomas had been asking people whether Magic was gay, allegedly saying, "I keep hearing Magic is gay." Magic took that personally. In the book, he said it shocked him. Coming from a former friend, it hurt more than the public chatter. Thomas, on the other hand, strongly denied the allegation. He said he was blindsided by the claim and insisted he had always supported Magic. He even pointed out that he helped promote Magic's involvement in the 1992 All-Star Game after the diagnosis. Thomas argued that if he had been questioning Magic publicly, it wouldn't make sense for him to be the first to hug him at center court or to stand beside him during a period when others were hesitant. Their relationship, once strong, had already been strained for years, with tensions dating back to their careers and Dream Team fallout. In 2017, after decades of silence and distance, the two reunited on national television, apologized, and reconciled. But the rumor, the hurt, and the public fallout left a scar that took decades to close: Bobby Portis' suspension. On February 20th, 2025, the NBA hit Bobby Portis with a 25-game suspension without pay. The reason? A failed drug test for tramadol, a banned substance under the league's anti-drug policy. Portis, a key forward for the Bucks, had been averaging around 13 points and 8 rebounds when the news broke. According to Portis and his agent, it was a mistake. He'd been dealing with an elbow injury and believed he was taking Toradol, a permitted pain reliever commonly used in pro sports. Instead, he took tramadol, a prescription drug not allowed under NBA rules. The league doesn't factor in intent when it comes to banned substances. If it's in your system, the punishment applies. That meant Portis was out for nearly a third of the regular season. The suspension wasn't just about missed games. Portis lost a significant chunk of salary and couldn't return until April 8th, right near the end of the regular season. He was allowed to practice but had to leave the arena hours before tip-off on game nights. The Bucks, fighting for playoff positioning, had to adjust their rotation without one of their key bench contributors. Doc Rivers, head coach of the Bucks, publicly defended Portis. He said the words, "failed a drug test, can paint the wrong picture," and emphasized that Portis wasn't trying to cheat the system. He called it a mix-up, not misconduct. Despite the support, the league held its line. The suspension stood. Portis' case joined a short list of players punished under the anti-drug policy in recent years, and highlighted how even one mix-up in pain management can carry major consequences. He returned on April 8th, but the impact of that absence had already rippled through the team and the season. Eric Lewis Burner account controversy. In May of 2023, NBA referee Eric Lewis was under investigation for his alleged connection to a burner Twitter account. The now deleted profile, under the handle at Cutliff Blair, had posted multiple times defending Lewis and other referees online. That raised serious red flags. The NBA prohibits its officials from commenting publicly on league officiating, even indirectly. The league opened a formal review to determine whether Lewis had violated the NBA's social media policy. By August 30th, Lewis abruptly retired. With him no longer an active employee, the NBA closed the investigation without issuing a final disciplinary ruling. While the burner account didn't appear to affect games directly, the controversy touched a nerve. Fans constantly debate officiating, and the idea that a high-level ref might be defending himself anonymously only fueled suspicions. The perception of neutrality matters, and the burner activity undercut that, even without proof of bias. Fast forward to December 19th, 2025. The NBA reinstated Eric Lewis, assigning him to officiate in the G League. As part of his return, he completed stress management counseling and training on appropriate social media use. The league stated his mistake didn't impact his ability to officiate fairly. He was scheduled to return during the G League Winter Showcase, with the possibility of working his way back into NBA games. It was a quiet re-entry after a very public controversy. At its core, this wasn't about fixing games. It was about boundaries. The NBA's policies around refs and online behavior exist to protect the game's credibility. Lewis crossed one, retired, and later got a second chance. But the whole incident reminded the league how easily perception can spiral when fans already think the whistle is tilted. Gary Payton versus Vernon Maxwell. On March 26, 2000, things boiled over at a Seattle Supersonics practice. Gary Payton, known for his trash talk and intensity, got into it with Vernon Maxwell, a player nicknamed Mad Max for a reason. What started as verbal jabs during drills turned into a full-blown fight. The initial scuffle happened during practice, but the real chaos broke out in the locker room. Punches were thrown, tensions exploded, and teammates rushed to intervene. That's when things got worse. Horace Grant stepped in to separate them and ended up getting struck by a weight in the confusion. The hit bruised his shoulder, badly enough that he missed the next game. Chuck Person also got hurt. He aggravated a surgically repaired knee while trying to break things up. Inside the locker room, the fight escalated again. Payton reportedly picked up a chair, and Maxwell reached for a free weight before staff and teammates stepped in to stop it. The damage was done. 2 injured teammates, and a practice-turned disaster. The team fined both Payton and Maxwell, though they didn't suspend either player. Sonics president Wally Walker said both guys were to blame and needed to get it together. Strangely, the very next night, Payton and Maxwell both suited up and played against the Spurs, even exchanging high fives during the game. The Sonics lost that 190-82, their 4th straight loss at home. This wasn't some small locker room dust-up. It was an incident that left 2 veterans sidelined and showed how combustible things can get behind the scenes, even between teammates. It's remembered as one of the rare cases where a fight didn't just stay between the 2 involved, but left the whole team bruised. Literally. Iggy completely shut down LeBron in 2015. This one gets thrown around a lot like it's just accepted truth. People swear Iggy locked LeBron down in the 2015 finals, and that's why he won finals MVP. But that version leaves out a few tiny details, like LeBron nearly averaging a triple-double across 6 games. He put up over 35 points, 13 rebounds, and almost 9 assists per game. Those aren't numbers you see from someone who got shut down. Yeah, when Iggy was matched up on him, LeBron shot 33%. That sounds rough until you realize most of those shots were tightly contested. And when he got clean looks against Iggy, he hit 7 of 8. That's 88% on uncontested shot. This wasn't lockdown defense. It was consistent effort making shots harder, not impossible. LeBron still did what he wanted, just with more resistance. And let's talk impact. LeBron led the entire series, both teams, in points, rebounds, and assists. He dropped multiple 40-point games, including a 40-point, 14-rebound, 11-assist monster in Game 5. He wasn't just good, he was historic. Even Game 6, where Cleveland lost, he went for 32, 19, and 9. Iggy definitely contested shots at a high level and shifted the Warriors' strategy. But shutting LeBron down? That's revisionist history. The finals MVP was more about Golden State's lineup adjustment and Iggy's all-around role, not because LeBron suddenly disappeared. The idea that LeBron got locked up just doesn't hold. He was too productive, too relentless, and too vital to be anything but dominant. The myth, entertaining. The reality, LeBron nearly carried an injury-depleted team past a dynasty. SGA is a free throw merchant. That's the chant, right? People toss it around like it's some kind of mic drop. But if Shea is really a free throw merchant, he's the worst salesman in the business. He just dropped 40 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds and still had to field questions about how many times he gets to the line. The guy climbs the podium and calmly brushes it off. That's not a grifter. That's a player who knows exactly who he is. He's averaged 9.5 free throw attempts per game in the playoffs. Sounds like a lot until you realize that's tied for 216th all time. 215 players have gotten to the line more often. He's behind guys like Giannis and Mitchell in this same postseason. He drives over 20 times a game, most in the league. You do that much work in the paint, you're gonna get hit. In the regular season, sure, he made the most free throws, 601, but even that's not his personal best. 2 years ago, he averaged more attempts per game. This season, just over 24% of his points came from the line. That's not even top 5 among active players. Anthony Gill and Mason Plumlee got more help from free throws. And the guys known for this stuff, Harden, Trey, even Luka, they stop the game cold complaining to refs. Shea doesn't. He just plays. He's not flopping. He's not lobbying. He's not pretending. He's taking contact and finishing plays. So yeah, the free throws are there. But the merchant thing, that label doesn't hold. He's not cheating the game. He's mastering it. NBA stars from the 80s were always loyal. That myth's been passed around like it's gospel. The idea that players like Kareem, Charles Barkley, and Clyde Drexler stayed put no matter what, not even close. These guys didn't just ask out, they strategized their way into better situations long before today's players ever heard the word super team. Let's start with Kareem. Back in 1974, he quietly told Milwaukee he wanted a trade, not because of drama or losing, but because the city didn't match his lifestyle. Less than a year later, he was in Los Angeles, building the Showtime dynasty. Sounds more like a chess move than loyalty. Then there's Barkley. He made it clear he was done with Philadelphia after 8 seasons. In fact, he thought he'd been traded to the Lakers in 1992 and even started celebrating before the deal got pulled. He eventually landed in Phoenix, then moved again to Houston to chase a ring. No shame in it, but let's not pretend he stayed put for loyalty's sake. And Drexler, by 1995, he was frustrated in Portland. Low contract, team not contending. He asked out and got sent home to Houston. That trade led directly to a championship. Smart move? Absolutely. Lifelong trailblazer? Nope. The whole players never asked for trades back then thing? Just not true. These guys were using their leverage just like players today do. Loyalty didn't disappear in the modern NBA. It was always conditional. They wanted to win. They wanted the right fit. And when it didn't line up, they made moves. The idea that the 80s era was all patience and sacrifice, that's just nostalgia, doing all the talking. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Kobe was a Laker lifer by choice. That's the story fans love to tell. The loyalty, the legacy, the one-team icon who never blinked. But if you were paying attention in 2007, you know that version leaves out a giant chunk of truth. Kobe Bryant asked out, loudly. He wanted the Lakers to fix the roster or send him packing. He even joked he'd play on Pluto. His top destination? Chicago. He said so himself. The front office tried to accommodate, and a trade to Detroit was actually in place. But Kobe shut it down using his no-trade clause. Not because he wanted to stay, but because he didn't want to go there. He vetoed it, just like he blocked the Bulls deal when it included Luol Deng. He wanted out, but only on his terms. The truth is, he stayed in Los Angeles because no deal met his preferences. The Lakers didn't refuse to trade him. The trades just didn't happen. Then came Pau Gasol. That changed everything. Suddenly the Lakers looked like contenders again. Kobe saw the title window reopen and decided to ride it out. So this idea that he never wavered, that he stayed for loyalty, it's a myth built on convenience. He nearly left. He was ready to leave. What kept him was leverage, control, and a better roster. He was a Laker his whole career, yes, but by circumstance, not just by choice. It's not a knock on his legacy, it's just the reality. Kobe wasn't some throwback to blind loyalty. He was calculated, competitive, and willing to move if it meant winning. That's not betrayal, that's business. LeBron only dominated a weak East. That's the claim that floats around every time someone wants to downplay his run to 8 straight finals. The idea that he only looked great because the East was basically empty. But when you look at the numbers, that narrative falls apart fast. From his rookie year to the day he left for Los Angeles, LeBron averaged 27 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 7 assists per game against Western Conference teams. Against the East, practically the same, 27, 7, and 7. The shooting splits, 50% from the field in both cases. The only noticeable difference is a tiny drop in 3-point and free throw percentages. 2% worse from the line does not mean he was being exposed by the West. Even against the best Western team during that whole stretch, the Spurs, he still averaged 26.5, 7, and 7. Same efficiency, same impact, slightly worse free throws. If the West was supposed to be some unbeatable gauntlet, LeBron didn't seem to notice. Playoff numbers tell the same story. He averaged 29, 9-7 against the East, and 28-10-8 against Western champions in the finals. That's 50-plus games against the best teams out west. The drop, 1 point and 3% in field goal percentage. Not nothing, but not the collapse critics love to imagine. During the Miami years, his numbers actually improved against the West, and in his Cleveland return, basically identical against both conferences. The East was weaker, sure, but pretending LeBron only dominated because of that is just not supported by the data. He played elite basketball, no matter who was on the other side. Weak conference or not, he showed up and took over. Wilt only dominated because he played against short white guys. That's the myth. It gets thrown around like Wilt Chamberlain was out there dunking on a bunch of 5'11" accountants. But the facts, they tell a completely different story. Wilt faced elite competition constantly. In his 29 playoff series, he went up against Hall of Fame centers in 19 of them. That includes Bill Russell, Nate Thurmond, Kareem, Willis Reed, Walt Bellamy, and Jerry Lucas. These weren't undersized part-timers. These were legendary big men with hardware, accolades, and historic production. Start with Russell. He wasn't short. 6'10", one of the greatest defenders ever, and Wilt outscored and out-rebounded him in all 8 of their playoff matchups. Russell won more series, but the individual battle, Wilt held his own and then some. They faced each other over 140 times total. Not exactly a rivalry made of fluff. Then there's Thurmond, a 7-time All-Star, praised by Kareem himself as the toughest defender he ever faced. Wilt had to battle him in the playoffs too. That's not domination against weakling. That's thriving against some of the most respected big men to ever play the game. Wilt's era also included other elite centers like Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes, and Bob Lanier. He played in a league packed with size and strength. 19 playoff series featuring Hall of Fame centers doesn't sound like a cakewalk. The idea that Wilt only dominated because of inferior opponents, it's just lazy. He didn't pile up numbers against nobodies. He did it while matching up with some of the best to ever play the position. The numbers were real. The competition was real. The myth, dead wrong. Julius Randle is a playoff dropper. That's the reputation, right? Every year the second April hits, fans start calling him a liability. They point to low scoring nights, missed jumpers, bad reads, like it's just who he is when the lights get bright. But what gets ignored? The dude's never been healthy. Not once. Until now. In 2021, he fought through quad and thigh injuries. In 2023, he played on a bum ankle the whole way. In 2024, he didn't play at all. Shoulder surgery shut him down before the postseason even started. That's 3 playoff runs, 3 injuries. The drop wasn't about pressure, it was pain. But in 2025, for the first time, Randle entered the playoffs healthy, and the results, way different. He went from averaging 18.7 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 4.7 assists in the regular season to 21.7 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 4.9 assists in the playoffs. That's not a drop, that's a climb. In the Western semis against Golden State, he was even better. 25.2 points, 6.6 boards, 7.4 assists across 5 games. He played with pace, made smart reads, and attacked mismatches. His scoring was up, efficiency held, and he looked in control. The Timberwolves reached the Western Conference Finals with him playing real minutes. He had off nights, sure, but overall, he produced. The myth says he always disappears in the playoffs. The truth is, this was the first time his body didn't disappear first. Healthy Randle isn't a dropper, he's a riser. Michael Jordan never lost in the playoffs. That's the myth people love to throw around. Like his career was one long, unbroken streak of dominance. 6-0 in the finals? True, but never losing in the playoffs? Completely false. Jordan's Bulls were bounced from the postseason several times before the title started stacking. He lost to Larry Bird's Celtics twice, in 1986 and 1987. Both times, swept in the first round. Then in 1995, after returning from his first retirement, he lost again, this time to the Orlando Magic in the second round. That was his final postseason series loss, but the idea that he never lost at all, it's just not reality. Now let's talk about how often he even got to the finals. Jordan played 15 seasons and made the finals 6 times. That's once every 2.5 years. Great, yes, but not unmatched. Bill Russell got there 12 times in 13 seasons. Magic Johnson went 9 times in 13 years. Even LeBron James, over 22 seasons, has made the finals 10 times. So Jordan's efficiency was elite, but not some outlier, floating in his own stratosphere. The myth turns Jordan into a postseason ghost. Never missing, never slipping, always winning. But the truth is, he had early exits, missed shots, and legitimate defeats before the dominance kicked in. His 6 championships matter. So do the losses that came before them. Jordan was one of the greatest playoff performers ever, but he wasn't perfect, and he definitely wasn't undefeated in the playoffs. Pretending otherwise just rewrites history to fit a cleaner narrative. The facts? They're already impressive enough without the myth. J.R. Smith didn't know the score in Game 1 of the 2018 final. That's the clip everyone remembers. J.R. grabbing the rebound, dribbling out the clock, LeBron exploding on the sideline. The conclusion? J.R. must have thought the Cavaliers were winning. But the truth's way more complicated than a meme. Right after the game, Smith said he knew it was tied. He thought someone was going to call timeout. Cleveland had one left, and he expected the bench or LeBron to stop play. That's not forgetting the score. That's assuming the situation would be handled differently. LeBron himself admitted he wasn't sure if they had a timeout left. The bench didn't call one. Ty Lue didn't call one. Smith didn't either. It wasn't score confusion. It was expectation, miscommunication, and a mess that just snowballed. Later on, Smith did hedge a bit, saying he couldn't say he was sure of anything at that moment. But even then, he stuck to the idea that he thought a timeout was coming. That's a panic reaction, not total amnesia. He made a mistake, no doubt. But the myth that he flat out forgot the score isn't supported by his own words or the post-game chaos. He made a decision, just a bad one. It's easy to turn a viral moment into a legacy. But what actually happened? He expected a timeout. It never came. And the most infamous possession of his career was born, not from cluelessness, but from a second of hesitation in the worst possible moment. Trust the process worked. That's the story they sold. The idea that Philly tanked for years, stacked draft picks, and built a dynasty around Joel Embiid. But here's the reality. They never even made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Since Embiid was drafted in 2014, the Sixers have made the playoffs plenty of times, but not once have they gotten past the second round. In 2018, they lost to Boston. In 2019, it was the Raptors, the infamous buzzer beater. In 2020, they got swept by Boston again. 2021, a brutal Game 7 loss to Atlanta. 2022, Miami ended it. 2023, another Game 7 loss to Boston. In 2024, they didn't even make it out of the first round, falling to the Knicks. And in 2025, Embiid barely played. 19 games, knee injury, no playoffs. Through it all, Embiid became an MVP. He led the league in scoring. He was dominant in the regular season. But come playoff time, whether it was health or matchups or just bad luck, the Sixers collapsed. Every time. He's the only MVP in NBA history to never reach a conference finals. That's not winning big. That's repeatedly coming up short. The process was supposed to produce championships. Instead, it produced all NBA stats, disappointment, and a long list of what-ifs. The team was built to compete, but never cashed in. The myth says the process worked. The truth, it stalled out before the destination. And for all Embiid's greatness, the big wins never came. David Stern blocked the CP3 trade because he feared a Lakers super team. That's the myth fans love to drag out. They think Stern panicked, saw Chris Paul heading to the Lakers, and hit the big red veto button just to keep the league balanced. But the truth, it wasn't fear. It was business. In December 2010, the NBA owned the New Orleans Hornets. That meant David Stern wasn't just the league commissioner, he was the acting owner of that franchise. And as owner, he had final say on all team decisions. The deal that would have sent Chris Paul to the Lakers, it had to go through him. And he didn't like it. Not because the Lakers were getting too strong, but because the return for New Orleans was underwhelming. No young prospects, no draft picks, just veterans like Lamar Odom, Kevin Martin, and Luis Scola. Enough to make the Hornets a middle-of-the-pack team, which is the worst place to be when you're trying to sell a franchise. Former NBA exec Stu Jackson confirmed the value wasn't there. The league was trying to position the Hornets for a strong sale, and settling for mediocrity wasn't going to cut it. Stern even tried reshuffling the deal to bring in better assets, like Kyle Lowry, but the Lakers pulled out when Odom was traded. Yes, owners grumbled, but Stern didn't block it to protect league parity. He did it to protect the Hornets' value. So no, it wasn't sabotage. It wasn't fear of a super team. It was a bad trade for a team the league was trying to sell. Stern wasn't vetoing CP3 to the Lakers. He was rejecting a raw deal for a team he was responsible for. Allen Iverson refused to practice. That's the myth, built entirely on one viral moment from 22 years ago. People love to quote him saying, "We talking about practice," as if he was bragging about skipping every team workout. But the reality, that press conference wasn't about refusing to practice. It was about the media twisting the narrative and Iverson finally snapping. The rant came after the Sixers got bounced in the first round. Iverson was being grilled for showing up late to a few practices, not skipping the season, not skipping games. He was frustrated, grieving, and tired of being painted as unprofessional. So when a reporter brought up practice, he flipped. He didn't deny its value. He said, "I know it's important." He just couldn't believe, after everything he'd given, injuries, minutes, effort, they were talking about that. He didn't say he hated practice. He didn't say he never showed up. He was reacting to how the media obsessively focused on something that, in that moment, felt irrelevant. Even years later, Iverson clarified that he was speaking from emotion, not from defiance. The myth stuck because the clip was dramatic and easy to misinterpret. But the facts? He practiced. He played hurt, he led, and he got fed up with the way the story kept getting spun. So no, Allen Iverson didn't refuse to practice. He refused to let people ignore everything else he gave to the game while reducing him to one soundbite. The rant wasn't about skipping reps. It was about being misunderstood. And honestly, people still are. Carmelo Anthony never sacrificed for the team. That's the myth, that Melo was too proud, too stuck in his superstar ways to ever accept a lesser role. But that narrative skips some inconvenient facts. The truth, he absolutely did sacrifice, especially later in his career, and did it across multiple teams. Let's start with Oklahoma City in 2017. Melo famously laughed at the idea of coming off the bench. He said it outright. But while he wouldn't take a reserve role, he did shift positions, moved to power forward, and adjusted his style. He played more off the ball, shot more catch-and-shoot threes, and took fewer isolation looks. That wasn't nothing. Then in Houston, he actually did come off the bench. 10 games, all as a reserve. Rockets GM Daryl Morey even said Melo accepted everything that was asked of him. The team just didn't work out, but his attitude wasn't the problem. He showed up and tried, but Portland is where the narrative really dies. Melo embraced a bench role completely. He said it was tough, called it a pill he had to swallow, but he swallowed it. He became a key part of the second unit, played within the system, and found ways to contribute without demanding touches. By then, he was all in on whatever helped the team win. So yeah, early Melo didn't want to hear about coming off the bench, but that changed. He adapted, redefined his role, and extended his career because of it. The idea that he never sacrificed, that's not the story. It's just what people remember from a quote, without watching what happened next. The 04 Pistons had no stars. That's the myth. People still act like that team was just a group of overachieving role players who got lucky for one postseason. But the truth, they absolutely had stars. They just didn't look like the ones on posters. Ben Wallace was a defensive force of nature. He won Defensive Player of the Year 4 times, 2 of those before the title run. In that 04 season, he made the All-NBA second team, the All-Defensive first team, and was an all-star. He led the entire finals with 328 rebounds. That's not a glue guy. That's a superstar who dominated without needing to score 20 a night. Chauncey Billups, he ran the show and took home the finals MVP. He averaged 21 points and a little over 5 assists per game against the Lakers. He was clutch, composed, and completely unfazed, earning the nickname Mr. Big Shot because he delivered under pressure. That's what stars do. Rasheed Wallace joined the team mid-season and changed the dynamic instantly. He brought elite defense, floor spacing, and energy. Richard Hamilton, he was their leading scorer, averaging nearly 18 points per game in the finals and consistently moving off ball to create offense. Even Tayshaun Prince made an impact with his length, defense, and timely plays. By the time the 06 All-Star game rolled around, 4 of Detroit's 5 starters had made at least one All-Star appearance. So no, they didn't have a Kobe or a Shaq, but they weren't starless. They had All-Stars, a Finals MVP, and a Hall of Fame defender anchoring the paint. The myth says they were nobodies. The truth, they were stars built for each other, and they crushed a dynasty because of it. Scottie Pippen was only a sidekick. The myth paints Pippen like he was just a tag-along to Jordan, riding shotgun and waving politely, while the GOAT did all the heavy lifting. But that version of the story falls apart when you actually look at what happened in the 1993-94 season. Jordan retired, Pippen stayed, and the Bulls still won 55 games. That's just 2 fewer wins than they had with Jordan the season before. So no, they didn't fall apart. They didn't even flinch. Pippen didn't just step up, he owned it. He averaged 22 points, nearly 9 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and close to 3 steals every game. That's not sidekick stuff. That's alpha stats. He snagged All-Star Game MVP, made the All-NBA first team and All-Defense first team. He even finished 3rd in MVP voting and 4th for Defensive Player of the Year. You don't stumble into that by accident. The team wasn't hollowed out either. Guys like Horace Grant, B.J. Armstrong, Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, and Luke Longley were all part of that rotation. They had chemistry and they had grit. With Pippen leading 72 of the 82 games, They played at a pace equivalent to 58 wins. And in the playoffs, they swept Cleveland and pushed a tough 7-game series against New York. So no, he wasn't in Jordan's shadow. That season proved Scottie wasn't just holding the flashlight, he was building the road. Adrian Dantley was just an empty stats guy. That's the myth, right? That he was all numbers and no wins. But once you dig into what actually happened, that story just falls apart. The guy wasn't some stat-chasing black hole. He was misunderstood. Coaches back then had no clue what to do with the 6'5" forward who loved posting up and playing inside. Dantley didn't fit the mold, so teams kept moving him, but he was just ahead of his time. In Utah, he didn't have much help. The Jazz were barely out of diapers as a franchise, only 5 years old and already stripped of 3 draft picks. And yet, Dantley dragged that squad to back-to-back playoff series wins in '84 and '85. Stockton and Malone inherited nearly the same crew: Eaton, Bailey, Griffith, Hanson, and managed just one playoff series win between '88 and '90. So no, Dantley wasn't the problem. Then came Detroit. Dantley didn't just fit, he transformed them. The Pistons were first-round fodder before he arrived. With him, instant contenders. He led them in scoring with off-the-charts efficiency. 21 points per game on over 63% true shooting in one series and 68% in another. That's elite. But then the Isaiah drama hit. Thomas reportedly wanted to be the main guy and never liked Dantley. In the biggest games, he iced Dantley out and bricked away. People love saying Dantley was a locker room problem, but Joe Dumars called him the best teammate he ever had. And honestly, in today's game, he'd dominate. With his one-on-one scoring and efficiency, he could have taken over the 2000s and maybe even snatched an MVP. Michael Jordan dominated the bad boy Pistons. That's the myth, and it's just not true. Jordan didn't walk through Detroit. He got knocked down by them, repeatedly. From 1988 to 1990, the Pistons owned the Bulls in the playoffs. First, they smacked them in the East semifinals in 1988, winning 4-1. Then in '89, Detroit won 4-2 on their way to the championship. And in 1990, the Bulls pushed it to 7 games, but still lost. That's 3 years in a row Jordan came up short. The Pistons had a plan. They called it the Jordan rules, and it wasn't cute. They hit him hard, double-teamed him, and forced him into bad spots early to drain his energy. This wasn't some gimmick. It worked. That physical play, the preparation, the rotation of defenders, it broke the Bulls down every time. And that whole idea that Jordan just blasted past Detroit, it doesn't hold up. Not even close. But things changed in 1991. That offseason, Jordan put on 15 pounds of muscle. The Bulls perfected the triangle offense. They built depth, and when they finally faced the Pistons again, they didn't just beat them, they swept them 4-0. Just like that, the Bad Boys era ended. This wasn't some one-man show. Jordan had to grow, adjust, and build the right team to finally get past Detroit. For 3 straight years, they were his wall. And when he finally broke through, that's when the Bulls dynasty really started. But those losses, they mattered. They shaped him. They proved he didn't dominate from the start. He had to earn it. Kendrick Perkins was just a meme. That's the myth, and it completely misses the point. Sure, he gives bold takes now, but back in his playing days, Perkins was one of the most respected post defenders in the league. In Boston's 2 best defensive seasons, they ranked at the top of the league in post-up defense, with him on the floor. When he missed over 40 games, that ranking dropped. That's not coincidence. That's impact. And this isn't just numbers on paper. Kobe Bryant himself said Perkins was the best low post defender in the game. That's coming from someone who scored on just about everybody else. Perkins wasn't flashy, but he was smart, physical, and consistent. He was the kind of player that did the dirty work every contender needs. People forget he started in 3 separate finals runs, 2 with Boston and 1 with Oklahoma City. He played 17 finals games and brought size, rebounding, and toughness every time. You don't start in over 120 playoff games by accident. He was reliable and trusted when the stakes were highest. Look at the stats. Almost 6 rebounds per game, over 1 block, and over 53% from the field for his career. He wasn't supposed to score. That wasn't his role. But he executed what he was asked to do. And despite the jokes now, even his teammates defended him. Now he's on national television as an analyst, breaking down games and shaping conversations. That doesn't happen unless people respect your basketball IQ. Kendrick Perkins wasn't a meme. He was a champion, a defender, a role player who did his job and did it well. Boogie Cousins was a locker room cancer. That's the label that stuck, and it shouldn't have. The media ran with this idea that DeMarcus Cousins was a problem behind the scenes, but when you look at what teammates and coaches actually said, the story changes. Anthony Davis couldn't have been more excited when Boogie joined him in New Orleans. He said he stayed up all night thinking about how far they could go. That's not someone worried about chemistry. Cousins, for his part, talked about growth and how well their games fit. DeAndre Jordan, who played on a whole different team, went out of his way to call Cousins a great teammate. That's not the kind of thing guys say about someone toxic. Even coaches and media insiders push back. Steve Smith said locker rooms with stars just take time, not that Cousins broke them. GQ even said Sacramento misread his fire, that his intensity wasn't dysfunction, it was just misunderstood leadership. And sure, a columnist once called him a cancer, but teammates didn't, coaches didn't. That one line just snowballed, even when players close to him were saying the opposite. Cousins said himself the narrative was false, and pointed to his time under Coach Calipari to show he had discipline and structure. People act like he destroyed teams, but in reality, plenty of players loved going to war with him. He was fiery, yeah, but that passion wasn't poison, it was fuel. In another era, with different framing, he'd probably be seen as a tough leader, not a liability. The myth doesn't hold up, not when so many teammates trusted and respected him. Reggie Miller owned the Knicks. That's the myth, and people love to repeat it like it's gospel. But the truth? Reggie actually lost way more than he won against New York. Across his whole career, he went 26-41 against them. That's a win percentage below 40%. At Madison Square Garden, where he's supposed to be this villainous legend, he was 7-27. That's not owning anything, that's struggling. Now yes, the playoff moments are burned into every fan's brain. The 8 points in 9 seconds. The choke sign at Spike Lee. Those moments were electric, no doubt. And they fed the idea that Reggie haunted the Knicks every time he stepped on the court. But when you zoom out, it just doesn't hold up. Over 67 total games, Miller averaged 18.4 points, nearly 3 assists, and almost 3 rebounds. Solid numbers, but not exactly soul-crushing. So while the highlights live on in documentaries and YouTube clips, the numbers tell a different story. Reggie had iconic moments, but a losing record, especially at the Garden. The myth says he owned the Knicks. The facts say he had some great scenes in a rivalry where he mostly came up short. Ben Simmons. After the Sixers' loss in the 2021 Eastern Conference semifinals, Simmons flat out refused to show up for training camp. He said he wanted out. First, it was a back issue, then mental health concerns, but while he was out, the fines piled up fast. 4 missed preseason games alone cost him around $1,400,000. Add missed practices, workouts, and team meetings, and the total started growing like it was trying to break a record. When he did return in October, it didn't last long. During a practice, he refused to take part in a drill, so Doc Rivers hit him with a 1-game suspension for conduct that hurt the team. That was the season opener. At first, the Sixers paused the fines when Simmons said it was about mental health, but when he stopped cooperating with team doctors, they restarted the fines again. By the time February rolled around, the damage was over $19 million. Some outlets said it might have been closer to 17, but either way, that's more than any other player in NBA history. Simmons eventually filed a grievance, and in August of 2022, the team reached a settlement with him. But the final number? Still a mystery. Mavericks. On April 7th, 2023, Dallas rested 5 key players in a must-win game against Chicago. Luka played just over 12 minutes before checking out. The rest? Kyrie, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, Christian Wood, and Maxi Kleber never saw the floor. Head coach Jason Kidd made it clear this wasn't his call. It came from above, specifically owner Mark Cuban and general manager Nico Harrison. The league launched an investigation right after the game and didn't need long to decide. By April 14th, the NBA had hit the Mavericks with a $750,000 fine for violating player participation rules and showing clear intent to lose. The league said the team's decisions undermined the integrity of the sport and failed fans and the league itself. The timing wasn't random. Dallas owed a top 10 protected pick to the Knicks. If they finished outside the top 10, the pick was gone. So losing that game helped them hold on to it. And it worked. They missed the play-in, but kept the pick. Strategic? Sure. Obvious? Definitely. This wasn't even Cuban's first time getting fined for tanking. Back in 2018, he was hit with a $600,000 fine after casually admitting the team was tanking on a podcast. This time around, they just let the game speak for itself. Eric Bledsoe. Back on October 22nd, 2017, Bledsoe fired off a tweet that simply read, "I don't want to be here." The Suns were already in chaos, having just fired their head coach, but that tweet was the gasoline on the fire. Bledsoe later claimed he was just talking about being stuck at a hair salon. The team didn't buy it. Phoenix general manager Ryan McDonough called it out immediately, and the Suns sent Bledsoe home. No practices, no games, just off the court entirely. The league got involved not long after. On November 5th, the NBA fined Bledsoe $10,000 for the tweet. Meanwhile, Bledsoe was still in limbo. He returned for workouts, but stayed off the active roster. That did not last long. Just 2 days after the fine, on November 7th, Phoenix traded him to Milwaukee in exchange for Greg Monroe and 2 protected draft picks. And while no one hung a sign on it, this whole situation had ripple effects. After Bledsoe's public outburst, teams around the league started tightening social media rules behind the scene. It was a clear message. Public frustration online could carry a real cost. Whether or not the tweet was about basketball, Bledsoe's time in Phoenix ended with a fine, a trade, and a policy shift that teams quietly started watching more closely. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Joey Crawford. On April 15th, 2007, Crawford tossed Tim Duncan from a regular season game between the Spurs and Maverick. Duncan wasn't even playing. He was laughing on the bench. That was enough for 2 technical fouls, and the second one got him ejected. Afterward, Duncan didn't hold back. He told reporters that Crawford came in with a personal vendetta and even challenged him to a fight. Crawford denied the fight claim, but said Duncan had been complaining and laughing too much. 2 days later, the league dropped the hammer. NBA Commissioner David Stern suspended Crawford for the rest of the regular season and the entire playoff. That ended his 21-year streak officiating in the finals. And it didn't stop there. The league fined him $100,000 and required him to attend therapy sessions with a Park Avenue psychiatrist. Not optional, mandatory. Crawford later said those sessions changed his life and likely saved his career. By September 17th, the league reinstated him. Stern said Crawford had shown he understood what professional officiating should look like. It was one of the most serious punishments ever handed to a referee. Crawford missed the playoffs entirely that year, and the incident became a reference point for how seriously the league treats professionalism, especially from the people calling the game. Ron Artest. On November 19, 2004, the Pacers were leading the Pistons in a heated game when Artest committed a hard foul on Ben Wallace. Wallace shoved back, and chaos simmered. Artest laid down on the scorer's table. Then a fan launched a drink at him. That set everything off. Artest sprinted into the stands and hit the wrong fan. It became one of the worst brawls in league history, with players fighting fans and the game ending early, with 45.9 seconds still on the clock. The fallout? Massive. The league suspended Artest for 86 games total, 73 regular season games, and 13 playoff games. That's still the longest suspension ever handed out for an in-game incident that didn't involve drugs. The league didn't stop there. Stephen Jackson got 30 games. Jermaine O'Neal originally got 25, but that was later reduced to 15. Ben Wallace was suspended for 6 games. Anthony Johnson got 5. Several others got 1 game each for leaving the bench during the melee. The league handed out 146 total games in suspension, and players lost about $11 million in salary combined. Commissioner David Stern called the incident shocking, repulsive, and inexcusable. It marked a turning point for league discipline, showing zero tolerance for any player-fan altercations. Artest's suspension made history and made sure something like that wouldn't be taken lightly again. Lakers. In April of 2017, Magic Johnson went on a late-night show and joked about Paul George with a not-so-subtle wink. At the time, George was still under contract with Indiana. The league had already warned the Lakers about tampering, but things didn't stop with just a wink. General manager Rob Pelinka later contacted George's agent directly. That was a clear violation, even though no deal had been made. Indiana Pacers owner Herb Simon wasn't having it. He filed a formal complaint with the league, and the NBA brought in the law firm Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz to investigate. They found enough to make it official. Pelinka had tampered. It didn't matter that there was no agreement. The communication alone crossed the line. By August, the league hit the Lakers with a $500,000 fine. At the time, it was the largest tampering fine in league history. Still, the team avoided losing any draft picks or being barred from pursuing George. That could have been worse. The Lakers said they'd be hyper-vigilant moving forward, but the damage was already done. A late-night joke and 1 phone call added up to $500,000 gone. All because of tampering rules the league takes very seriously, no matter how casual the intent might seem. Joe Smith. Around 1999, the Timberwolves cooked up a secret plan with Joe Smith to dodge the salary cap. Instead of signing him to a big money deal, they gave him 3 back-to-back 1-year contracts for way under market value. In return, they'd hold on to his bird rights, which meant they could later offer him a massive contract, reportedly worth $86 million, without it counting against the cap. That was the entire scheme. It blew up when Smith's agent changed, and legal discovery unearthed the secret agreement. Once the NBA saw what was going on, Commissioner David Stern didn't hold back. the Timberwolves got slapped with a $3.5 million fine. All three of Smith's contracts were voided, which erased the team's cap advantage and stripped his bird rights completely. The team also lost 5 first-round picks spanning from 2001 to 2005. 2 of those were eventually given back, but losing 3 was still brutal. Owner Glenn Taylor got suspended from team operations until the end of August 2001, and general manager Kevin McHale was put on unpaid leave through July 31st of that year. This was one of the biggest cap-related punishments in NBA history. Money gone, picks gone, executives benched, all because of a handshake deal that wasn't supposed to see the light of day. Draymond Green. On December 12, 2023, during a game against Phoenix, Draymond struck Yusuf Nurkic in the face and got hit with a flagrant foul 2. That meant an automatic ejection, but the league didn't stop there. They suspended him indefinitely, citing his repeated history of unsportsmanlike conduct. It wasn't about just one play, it was about the pattern. NBA executive Joe Dumars made it clear that the punishment wasn't just reactive. Draymond had already built a track record, and the league decided enough was enough. The suspension began immediately, and Draymond wasn't just told to sit out. He had to meet league and team requirements before returning. That included counseling and meetings with team officials, league representatives, and the players' union. He ended up missing 16 games. The NBA reinstated him on January 6, 2024, after confirming he had completed the necessary steps. Draymond officially returned to play on January 15th in a game against Memphis, coming off the bench. The message from the league was direct: past behavior matters. This wasn't just about a single moment, it was about years of buildup. Draymond's return came only after showing a willingness to address the issues off the court, not just sit out game. Mark Cuban. He holds the title for the most fined individual in NBA history, and it's not even close. Since taking over the Mavericks, he's racked up at least 13 fines, totaling over $1,665,000, mostly for going after referees and league officials in public. In 2002, he was fined $500,000 for repeated shots at the officiating crew, including direct criticism of Ed Rush. That was just the beginning. In 2006, he dropped another $250,000 after comments following Game 5 of the final. Then in 2018, he suggested the team should tank the rest of the season, and the league hit him with a $600,000 fine. Even as recently as 2020, he was fined another $500,000 for criticizing officiating again. There's also that $750,000 team fine from 2023, when the Mavericks rested key players to keep a high draft pick. That one wasn't directly billed to Cuban, but it happened under his watch. When you include everything, personal and team related, the total gets close to $4 million. Cubans said he matches every fine with a charitable donation, but from the league side, they've made it clear his outbursts cost money every single time. Delonte West. On September 17, 2009, West was pulled over while riding a 3-wheeled motorcycle in Maryland. What made it unforgettable wasn't the vehicle, it was the weapon. He had a loaded 9mm in his waistband, a Ruger 357 strapped to his leg, and a loaded shotgun tucked in a guitar case on his back. Yes, that's 3 different firearms while riding a Can-Am. Fast forward to July 2010, West pleaded guilty to the charges. He was sentenced to home detention with electronic monitoring, unsupervised probation, 40 hours of community service, and mandatory psychological counseling. The NBA took action a month later. On August 20th, the league suspended West for 10 games without pay. It wasn't related to drugs or anything that happened on the court, but it still landed as one of the longest suspensions ever for an off-court incident that didn't involve fighting. The league made it clear: bringing loaded weapons into any situation off the court still falls under NBA jurisdiction. This penalty stood out not just because of the length, but because of how rare it was for a suspension like this to hit without a direct connection to basketball. It sent a message loud and clear: actions off the court still come with real consequences. Andrew Bynum. In Game 4 of the 2011 Western Conference semifinals, with just over 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Bynum delivered a flying elbow directly into J.J. Barreau's ribs as the guard was driving to the basket. J.J. was airborne. The contact was dangerous, blatant, and immediately resulted in a flagrant foul 2. Bynum was ejected from the game on the spot. The league's response came swiftly. On August 20th, the NBA suspended Bynum for 5 games to begin the 2011-12 regular season. They cited the hit as unnecessary and excessive. On top of that, he was fined $25,000 for the way he exited the game, removing his jersey and walking off in a way the league found unprofessional. Those 5 missed games came at a steep cost. Based on salary forfeiture, Bynum lost around $702,000. After the incident, he publicly apologized, calling the hit terrible and unacceptable. He also said it didn't reflect how he was raised or what the Lakers stood for. He later tried to personally apologize to JJ. This wasn't a scuffle or a hard foul gone wrong. It was one of the most heavily punished playoff flagrant fouls in recent memory, and it cost Bynum dearly in both money and reputation. Latrell Sprewell. On December 1st, 1997, during a Golden State Warriors practice, Coach P.J. Carlesimo criticized Sprewell's passing and told him to put a little mustard on it. Sprewell wasn't having it. He told the coach to back off and said he wasn't in the mood. When Carlesimo approached, Sprewell grabbed him by the throat and choked him for about 7 to 10 seconds until teammates pulled him away. That wasn't the end. About 20 minutes later, after showering and changing, Sprewell came back and threw a punch, grazing Carlesimo's cheek before being separated again. The incident shocked the league. The Warriors responded first, suspending Sprewell for 10 games without pay. Then they took it further, voiding the rest of his contract, which had 3 seasons and $23.7 million left. The NBA followed by banning him for a full year. Sprewell appealed, and an arbitrator ruled in his favor. His contract was reinstated, and the suspension was reduced to 68 games. Even with the shortened ban, he still lost about $6.4 million in salary. At the time, it was the second longest suspension in league history for an off-court incident, behind only Ron Artest's ban years later. The punishment was massive, and it changed how teams in the league handled player conduct behind closed doors. Carmelo Anthony. On December 16, 2006, at Madison Square Garden, things boiled over between the Knicks and Nuggets. It started when Knicks guard Marty Collins delivered a hard, flagrant foul on J.R. Smith in the final moments of the game. That one foul set off a full-blown brawl that spilled out toward the baseline seats. In the middle of it, Carmelo, who at the time was leading the league in scoring, landed a punch square to Collins' face. The league acted fast. Anthony received a 15-game suspension without pay, the longest of any player involved in the fight. That cost him around $640,000 in salary. In total, 7 players were suspended, adding up to 47 games combined. Both the Knicks and Nuggets were fined $500,000 each. The incident was high profile and ugly, and the league came down hard to make an example. Because the suspension was longer than 12 games, Anthony could have appealed it through arbitration, but he didn't. He said he didn't want to create a bigger distraction for his team. That choice ended the matter quickly. This was one of the most significant player suspensions for on-court violence, and it made the league's stance crystal clear. No punches, no exceptions. Dennis Rodman. On January 17, 1997, during a game against the Timberwolves in Minnesota, Rodman got tangled near the baseline and fell into a courtside photographer named Eugene Amos. What happened next crossed every line. Rodman stood up and kicked Amos in the groin while he was still on the ground. Amos had to be taken to the hospital. The league wasted no time. Rodman was suspended for 11 games without pay and fined $25,000. But the punishment didn't stop there. The NBA also required him to complete counseling before being allowed to return, clearly signaling that this wasn't just about missed games, it was about unacceptable behavior. Rodman's financial hit was massive. At the time, he was playing under a 1-year, $9 million deal. Because of the suspension, he forfeited over $1 million in salary and performance incentives. That loss made headlines on its own. This wasn't an in-game altercation or fight. It was a direct attack on someone not even in uniform. It became one of the most talked about suspensions for conduct that had nothing to do with competition. Even for someone with Rodman's history, this moment stood out. It was a costly, career-defining misstep that reminded the league and its players that lines can't be crossed, especially not into the crowd. Ron Artest. On April 22, 2012, in a game between the Lakers and Thunder, Artest, playing under the name Meta World Peace, delivered a brutal left elbow to James Harden's head. It happened right after a Kobe Bryant dunk. Harden wasn't involved in the celebration, but he caught the full force of Artest's elbow, which knocked him out of the game with a concussion. Artest was ejected immediately with a flagrant foul 2. 2 days later, the NBA handed down the suspension. He was banned for 7 games without pay. That covered the Lakers' regular season finale and carried over into the playoffs. Commissioner David Stern emphasized that it wasn't just the force of the hit, it was the location and the danger it posed. Elbows to the head aren't taken lightly, and Artest's history didn't help his case. The financial impact wasn't small. Artest lost around $348,000 in salary during that 7-game stretch. After the incident, he called the elbow unintentional and said it came from an overhyped celebration. The league didn't see it that way. This wasn't part of a fight or scuffle. It was a violent action in the middle of a game moment, and it cost both players, Harden physically and Artest financially and reputationally. Tim Donaghy. In July 2007, the NBA was rocked by one of the most serious scandals in its history. The FBI revealed that Donaghy, a veteran referee with 13 seasons under his belt, had been betting on games, including ones he officiated. It wasn't just casual gambling. He used inside knowledge to tip off gamblers and even helped shape betting picks by sharing information through coded messages. The timeline stretched from the 2003 season through 2007. Donaghy pleaded guilty to 2 federal charges: conspiracy to commit wire fraud and transmitting wagering information across state lines. On August 15, 2007, he admitted to tipping off bettors and profiting from the results. The following summer, on July 29, 2008, he was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Donaghy ended up serving 11 months in a prison camp in Florida, then moved to a halfway house. After violating release terms, he briefly returned to prison. He was officially released on November 4, 2009. He resigned from the league on July 9, 2007, effectively receiving a lifetime ban. His downfall triggered major reforms in how the league handles gambling, officiating, accountability, and internal monitoring. The scandal shattered public trust and left a lasting mark on NBA history. Donald Sterling. In April 2014, audio recordings surfaced of Sterling making racist comments to his then-girlfriend, V. Stiviano. He told her not to associate publicly with black people and not to bring them to Clippers games. The remarks were widely condemned and triggered immediate backlash across the league. On April 29th, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver issued the most severe penalty available. Sterling was banned for life from the NBA and fined $2.5 million, the maximum allowed under league rules. He was barred from all league and team operations, including entering team facilities and attending games. Silver also began the process to force a sale of the Clippers, which required approval from 3/4 of the league's owners. In May, Sterling's wife, Shelly Sterling, negotiated a $2 billion sale of the team to Steve Ballmer. After Sterling challenged the sale in court, a probate judge ruled that Shelly had legal authority to act on the family trust's behalf. The sale was finalized in August of that year. Sterling later settled his lawsuit against the NBA in November 2016. The punishment remains one of the harshest in league history and marked a major turning point in how the NBA responds to ownership conduct and public controversies. James Harden. In August of 2023, Harden made headlines and then a dent in his wallet after going public with trade demands. On August 14th and again on August 17th, he stated that he wouldn't perform the services required under his contract unless the Sixers traded him. Then, during an event in China, he called team president Daryl Morey a liar, saying, "I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of," and repeated it for emphasis. The NBA reviewed his statements and concluded that they violated league rules, specifically those tied to anti-tampering and professional conduct under the collective bargaining agreement. On August 22nd, the league fined Harden $100,000, one of the largest fines ever handed down for public trade-related comments. The National Basketball Players Association disagreed. They immediately announced they would file a grievance, arguing that Harden's statements didn't meet the threshold for a trade demand violation under the rules. This was a rare enforcement moment. It showed how seriously the NBA takes public attempts to pressure front offices, especially from star players. For Harden, it became more than a standoff with management. It triggered a league-wide response over how far a player can go before professionalism becomes a disciplinary issue. Derek Coleman. On January 27, 1997, while on injured reserve, Coleman missed a Saturday game in Detroit and then skipped a Monday practice in Philadelphia. The Sixers fined him, but the amount was never publicly disclosed. This was one of multiple incidents that pointed to Coleman's pattern of clashing with team expectations during his career. Later that same year, on December 30th, Coleman was suspended for 2 games without pay and fined $10,000 for his role in a fight during a game. That fine came with an additional $1,000 automatic penalty for being ejected. The suspension cost him roughly $195,190 in lost salary based on his contract at the time. These 2 incidents are among the few that have confirmed financial penalties. While his career was filled with behavioral criticisms, missed practices, resistance to coaching, and other professionalism issues, only some resulted in documented fines or suspensions. Reports from outlets like Sports Illustrated describe Coleman as often uncoachable and indifferent, but not every issue translated into official league discipline with a clear financial trail. Despite some narratives suggesting over $250,000 in fines, publicly available data only confirms penalties totaling in the low to mid six figures, including forfeited salary. The numbers back up the criticism to a degree, but they stop short of that larger total often cited without direct evidence. Stanley Roberts. In November of 1999, Stanley Roberts was hit with one of the harshest penalties the NBA had handed out at the time. While playing for the Philadelphia 76ers, he tested positive for an amphetamine-based designer drug, and under the league's freshly strengthened drug policy from earlier that year, that meant one thing: expulsion. He didn't just fail once. After the first positive test, Roberts requested a retest, which also came back positive. That sealed it. On November 24th, the NBA made it official. He was expelled. It was the first time the league used that kind of authority under the new rules. That decision shut down his NBA career instantly. Now, he wasn't banned for life. The policy said he could apply for reinstatement after 2 years, but Roberts wouldn't come back until over 3 years later. On January 16th, 2003, the NBA and the Players Association agreed to reinstate him. The Sixers still had his rights, meaning they could sign him again or let another team give him a shot. This case became a major turning point. It sent a clear message across the league. Those updated policies were more than talk. Roberts' career never fully recovered, but his case shaped how the NBA handled things going forward. Al Jefferson. On December 9th, 2015, the NBA handed out a 5-game suspension to Charlotte Hornets center Al Jefferson for violating the league's anti-drug program. The rule was clear. Under the collective bargaining agreement, a third marijuana violation brings a 5-game ban without pay. And that's exactly what happened. But Jefferson wasn't even playing when the announcement came. He was already out with a strained left calf, so he couldn't start serving the suspension until he got medically cleared. No games were coming off the count until his return. The Hornets quickly released a statement. They said they were disappointed, but also made it clear Jefferson had expressed regret. According to them, he was ready to own it and learn from it. He also publicly apologized to the organization, the coaches, his teammates, and the fans. He called it a poor decision and didn't try to dodge responsibility. The league didn't treat this like a mystery. It was his third time violating the marijuana policy, and the rulebook spelled out the consequences. No extra drama, just a straightforward penalty enforced by the book. What made this one stand out wasn't the length, but the timing. He had to wait until he was healthy just to start serving it, which made the situation drag even longer. Nothing vague about it. He broke the rule. The league acted, and Jefferson faced the cost. Nick Van Exel. On April 9th, 1996, things got heated during a game between the Lakers and the Nuggets. With just over 3 minutes left, Nick Van Exel picked up 2 technical fouls from referee Ron Gerritsen and was ejected. But instead of heading to the locker room, Van Exel followed Gerritsen to the scorer's table and shoved him with his forearm, knocking him into the table. That move crossed a serious line. The NBA responded fast, calling the act more severe than Dennis Rodman's headbutt from weeks before. Rodman had gotten 6 games and a $20,000 fine. Van Exel, he got 7 games and a record-setting $25,000 fine. At the time, no one had ever been fined more, and it didn't stop there. Since he missed those 7 regular season games without pay, the financial hit totaled about $161,000. That brought the overall cost of the incident to around $187,000. League executive Rod Thorne explained the extra game and money, saying it was clearly more serious. Lakers Vice President Jerry West backed the punishment too, saying the team was embarrassed and Van Exel's actions were unacceptable. This case wasn't just about money or games missed. It showed the NBA had a limit when it came to physical contact with officials, and Van Exel's shove made that line very clear. Bobby Portis. On October 17, 2017, things got out of control during a Chicago Bulls practice. Bobby Portis punched teammate Nikola Mirotic in the face, and the result wasn't minor. Mirotic ended up with facial fractures and a concussion, which kept him off the court for weeks. The team didn't wait long to respond. The Bulls suspended Portis for 8 games, right at the start of the 2017 to 2018 season. The decision came straight from the front office, and they made it clear the punch crossed a serious line. John Paxson, the Bulls' vice president of basketball operations, said both players played a role in escalating the situation, but Portis was the one who threw the punch, and more importantly, the one who connected. That's what made the difference. Paxson described the injury as inexcusable and emphasized that physical violence couldn't be tolerated, even behind closed doors. This wasn't some minor dust-up during a heated scrimmage. Portis's actions led to a serious injury, and the 8-game suspension reflected how seriously the team treated it. Even though it happened during practice and not in a televised game, the consequences were heavy. Portis missed the entire first chunk of the season, and the incident became one of the most talked about practice altercations in recent NBA history. Doug Christie and Rick Fox. On October 25, 2002, during a preseason matchup between the Lakers and the Kings, things went south fast. Just under 3 minutes into the game, Rick Fox hit Doug Christie with an elbow, then followed it up with a slap. Christie fired back with a left hook to Fox's jaw. Both were ejected immediately, but the fireworks didn't stop there. After leaving the floor, Fox sprinted through a back hallway and intercepted Christie near the Kings' locker room. What followed was total chaos. Fox put Christie in a headlock, and the scuffle dragged on until players from both teams stepped in. Reports even claimed Christie's wife got involved in the melee. The NBA cracked down hard. Fox was suspended for 6 games. Christie got 2. While no extra fines were handed out, Fox lost nearly $289,000 in salary. Christie also missed pay, but the financial hit to Fox was much heavier. Phil Jackson admitted 6 games felt a bit harsh, but said the league wanted to send a message, and that message was loud and clear. This kind of behavior, especially off the court, wasn't going to slide. What started as preseason tension turned into one of the most memorable brawls of the early 2000s. No punches were forgotten, and no one left that hallway unshaken. But talking about these stories, Underdog is the best place to get in on the action. So for this week, on Underdog, there's 2 players I'm rocking with. First pick, I'm going Cooper Flagg, higher than 26.5 points plus. Assists in Mavericks versus Pelicans. Flagg has the ball constantly, he's scoring, creating offense, and when he's aggressive, he fills up the stat sheet quickly. Points plus assists is one of the best ways to play him because he can hit this number multiple ways. Then in Lakers versus Rockets, I'm going LeBron James, higher than 11.5 rebounds plus assists. LeBron has basically been running the entire offense. When he's controlling the pace, he racks up assists and rebounds naturally. So rebounds plus assists is one of the safest stats to look at with him. Playing on Underdog is really simple. You just pick whether players go higher or lower on their stats, combine a few picks together, and see how your entry performs. Download the app today and use promo code EXPLAIN to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code EXPLAINed. Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-MY-RESET or 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the Hope line at 1-8778-HOPNY or text HOPNY. O.J. Mayo, born in Huntington, West Virginia, back in 1987, he exploded onto the high school basketball scene, racking up Mr. Basketball USA honors and making the Parade All-American list twice. He rolled into USC for 1 season in 2007, lighting up the court and earning first-team All-Pac-10 honors. Later, the NCAA stripped USC of all 21 wins from that season after finding he'd taken improper benefits, ending his amateur eligibility retroactively. He got drafted 3rd overall in 2008 by Minnesota, but before he could even unpack, he was traded to Memphis, 4 seasons there. And in 2011, he picked up a 10-game suspension for testing positive for DHEA, which he blamed on an energy drink. Then came Dallas in 2012, where he averaged over 15 points a game, and Milwaukee in 2013 with a 3-year deal worth around $24 million. By March 2016, he was sidelined for the season after fracturing his ankle in a fall at home. On July 1st, 2016, things really shifted. The NBA dropped a dismissal and disqualification on him for violating the league's anti-drug program. They kept the exact reason private, but his name went down as the first player in a decade to get that kind of penalty. Once the NBA door closed, he packed his passport. Puerto Rico in 2018 was short-lived, but Taiwan's SBL saw him shine as an all-star and scoring leader. China's NBL and the ASEAN Basketball League followed. Then in 2020, he hit the CBA with Liaoning Flying Leopards, averaging over 28 points and dropping a career-high 48 in a game. Russia's VTB United League came next with UNICS Kazan, where he nailed a buzzer beater in triple overtime. From 2022 to 2024, he played in Egypt's Super League with Zamalek SC. By March 2024, Mayo switched from scoring buckets to shaping future players. He returned to Liaoning as an assistant coach for their youth team, gearing them up for the 2025 national game. Even though he's been eligible for reinstatement since 2018, he's never stepped back onto an NBA court, instead carving out an entirely different chapter overseas and now from the sidelines, guiding the next generation with all that on-court experience and his well-traveled career path. Jonte Porter, born in Columbia, Missouri in 1999, he made his name at Missouri from 2017 to 2019, winning SEC Sixth Man of the Year and landing on the SEC All-Freshman team. Despite the hype, serious knee injuries, including a torn ACL and MCL, kept him out of the 2019 draft. He eventually signed with Memphis in March 2020, splitting time with their G League affiliate, the Memphis Hustle. After that came the Wisconsin Herd in 2022, a short stint with the Motor City Cruise, and finally, a two-way deal with Toronto, bouncing between the Raptors and Raptors 905. Over his NBA run, he played 37 games, averaging just under 4 points, around 2.5 rebounds, and over 1.5 assists per game. Then came April 17th, 2024, when the NBA dropped a lifetime ban on him for gambling violations. The league said he bet on NBA games, passed insider information to gamblers, and even manipulated his playing time to swing bets. Between January and March that year, he placed at least 13 wagers ranging from $15 to $22,000 through another person's account, winning about $22,000 overall. The most infamous moment was March 20th, when he revealed his health status to bettors, then left a game early pretending to be sick to help an $80,000 parlay, one that could have paid out $1.1 million, but it lost. Things didn't stop with league discipline. On July 10th, 2024, Porter pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud. He was released on a $250,000 bond while awaiting sentencing, set for December 18th, 2024, with a possible prison term of about 3.5 to over 4 years. His legal conditions included giving up his passport, which shut down his attempt to continue his career in Greece. A judge denied his request, citing travel restrictions tied to his release terms. Now in mid-2025, Porter's still permanently banned from the NBA. He hasn't played overseas because of the court's constraints, and with sentencing on the horizon, his future in basketball, at any level, is frozen. What started as a promising path through Missouri, G League, stops, and the NBA has ended with him off the court entirely, waiting to see how much of the next few years he'll be spending behind bars instead of playing the game. Chris Anderson. Before the tattoos and the championship ring, he was grinding it out in China and the minor leagues in the United States. His break came in 2001 when he became one of the first players called up from the then NBDL to the NBA, landing with Denver. He played with the Nuggets until 2004, then moved to New Orleans, building his reputation as an energy guy off the bench. That run hit a wall on January 25th, 2006. The NBA dismissed and disqualified him for violating the anti-drug policy, citing a drug of abuse, which covers substances like cocaine, PCP, LSD, or amphetamines. He fought the ruling through a grievance, but by March the arbitrator sided with the league, and the ban stuck. Anderson spent the next 2 years in rehab, living with an advisor in Denver and taking regular drug tests while waiting for another chance. That chance came on March 4th, 2008, when the NBA and NBPA reinstated him. A day later, New Orleans brought him back. His game and image took off from there, returning to Denver later in 2008 through 2012 and then joining Miami. With the Heat, he was part of the squad that won the 2013 NBA championship. He kept bouncing around after that, with Memphis in 2016, and then Cleveland, where an ACL tear in December 2016 effectively ended his NBA run. He was waived and never returned to an NBA roster. Official retirement came in 2017, but Anderson wasn't quite done with basketball. He joined the Big Three League, playing for Team Power and helping them win the 2018 championship. That was his last known professional basketball appearance. Since then, there's been no public record of him coaching or working in an official basketball role. From his unconventional start overseas to the ban and grueling path back to lifting a trophy with Miami, Anderson's career was anything but predictable. His final chapter on the court might have been in a 3-on-3 league, but his legacy as one of the most recognizable role players of his era, with a career built on hustle, defense, and an unmistakable presence, is set in stone, even if he's now far from the spotlight. Donald Sterling. Born Donald Samuel Tokowitz in Chicago in 1934, he moved to Los Angeles as a kid and eventually changed his last name, figuring Sterling would open more doors for business. He excelled in high school gymnastics, got his bachelor's from California State University, Los Angeles in 1956, and a law degree from Southwestern Law School in 1960. He started as a lawyer, but made his fortune in real estate, building a massive portfolio that at one point included over 100 Los Angeles properties. In 1981, he bought the San Diego Clippers for $12.5 million. By 1984, he moved them to Los Angeles without league approval, earning himself a large fine that he later got reduced through a lawsuit. Over the next 3 decades, the Clippers under Sterling became known more for losing than winning, inconsistent seasons, some of the worst records in sports, and a reputation for frugality shaped his ownership. Stories circulated about him advising players to tape up injuries instead of paying for proper trainers, fueling the view that he was one of the league's poorest performing owners. Everything unraveled in April 2014 when recordings surfaced of Sterling making racist remarks about black associates of his companion, V. Stiviano. Public backlash was swift, and the NBA hit him with a lifetime ban and a $2.5 million fine, the league's maximum penalty. His wife Shelley soon moved to have him declared mentally unfit to manage their affairs, paving the way for the sale of the Clippers to Steve Ballmer for $2 billion. Sterling fought it in court, but by August 2014, the sale was finalized. Even after the ban, Sterling's wealth remained intact. With the Clippers sale proceeds and his extensive real estate holdings, his net worth has been estimated at nearly $2 billion or more. He's still married to Shelley, despite a brief divorce filing in 2015 that was withdrawn the next year. These days, he lives in California, often spotted in Malibu, still very much part of the real estate world, but with no official ties to professional basketball. From a legal career to a property empire, to one of the most infamous scandals in NBA history, Sterling's story now sits as a cautionary tale. A lifetime ban ending one of the longest and most controversial ownership runs the league has seen. Mitchell Wiggins, born in Kinston, North Carolina, on September 28, 1959, he carved out his path through college basketball at Truett McConnell, then Clemson, before making his biggest mark at Florida State from 1981 to 1983. There, he averaged about 23 points and 9 rebounds a game, setting himself up for the pros. In the 1983 NBA draft, he was picked 23rd overall by Indiana, but his rights were traded to Chicago. He played his rookie season with the Bulls before moving to Houston in 1984, where he stayed until 1987. That year brought a major turn. He and teammate Lewis Lloyd were suspended for 2.5 years under the league's anti-drug policy after testing positive for cocaine. The ban kept him off the court until the 1989-90 season, when he came back strong for Houston, averaging about 15.5 points per game. After leaving the Rockets in 1990, Wiggins later played the 1991-92 season with Philadelphia, wrapping up 6 NBA seasons and 389 games. Across his career, he averaged 10 points, just over 3 rebounds, and 1.6 assists per game, while shooting 46% from the field. His basketball journey didn't stop there. Wiggins went international, suiting up in Greece for clubs like Milan, Sporting, and Panionios, in France for Le Mode, and in the Philippines for the Tondenya 65 Rum Masters. He also kept competing in smaller US leagues like the XBA well into the early 2000s, including time with the Spearfish Black Hills Heat. On the world stage, Wiggins represented the United States at the 1982 FIBA World Championship, where the team won the silver medal. Off the court, he married former Canadian Olympic sprinter Marita Payne Wiggins and raised 6 children, including NBA All-Star Andrew Wiggins, along with Mitchell Jr., Nick, and daughters Stephanie, Angelica, and Taya. Wiggins passed away on September 9, 2024, at 64 years old. His death brought tributes from the NBA, the Rockets, and fans who remembered both his talent and his resilience. In early 2025, he was inducted into the North Lenoir Hall of Fame, honoring his contributions to the game and his lasting connection to his hometown. Rest in peace, Mitchell Wiggins. Jalen Harris. Born in Dallas, Texas on August 14, 1998, he played 2 seasons at Louisiana Tech before transferring to Nevada. There, he became one of the top scorers in the country, averaging over 21 points a game and earning first-team All-Mountain West and Newcomer of the Year honors. That run helped him get drafted 59th overall by Toronto in the 2020 NBA Draft. In his rookie season with the Raptors, Harris saw action in 13 games, averaging 7.4 points, 1.4 rebounds, and 1.3 assists, while shooting 50% from the field and over 47% from 3. Then came July 1st, 2021, when he was dismissed and disqualified from the NBA under the league's anti-drug program. As a first-year player, he could apply for reinstatement after 1 year, and on August 16, 2022, the League and Players Association approved his return. Harris's career since has taken him far beyond the NBA. In 2021-22, he played for Vanoli Cremona in Italy's top league. He then joined the Scarborough Shooting Stars in Canada's CEBL before briefly signing with the New York Knicks and playing with their G League affiliate, Westchester. In 2023, he returned to Scarborough, then moved to the Windy City Bulls, where he averaged over 12 points per game and had a standout 50-point performance. In 2024, Harris signed with Leones de Ponce in Puerto Rico's BS10, then with the Saskatchewan Rattlers in the CEBL. Later that year, he headed to China, first with Jiangxi Ganqi in the NBL, then with the Nanjing Monkey Kings in the CBA. By 2025, Harris was back in Canada, signing with the Winnipeg Sea Bears in the CEBL, where he's currently playing. While he hasn't returned to the NBA, his career has spanned Europe, the G League, Latin America, China, and multiple Canadian teams, showing he stayed active and productive across different levels of professional basketball. His journey has been less about one league and more about finding opportunities to play and contribute wherever the game takes him. Richard Dumas, born May 19, 1969, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, he's the son of former ABA player Rich Dumas. After starring at Oklahoma State, he was drafted 46th overall in the 1991 NBA Draft by the Phoenix Suns. Before he could play his first NBA game, Dumas was suspended for violating the league's substance abuse policy, missing the entire 1991-92 season. During that time, he went overseas and played for Hapoel Holon in Israel. When he finally debuted in 1992-93, he made an immediate impact. 48 games, 32 starts, averaging about 15.8 points and 4.6 rebounds while shooting over 52%. He helped Phoenix win 62 games and reach the NBA Finals that year. But his rise was derailed again. The league hit him with another full season suspension in 1993-94, once more for substance abuse policy violations. He returned in 1994-95 with the Suns, but played just 15 games, averaging 5.5 points. His final NBA stop came in 1995-96 with the Philadelphia 76ers, coached by John Lucas, where he appeared in 39 games and averaged just over 6 points. After leaving the NBA, Dumas extended his career internationally and in minor leagues. He played in Greece for Gymnastikos S. Larissos, suited up in the USBL for the Westchester Wildfire, and stayed active in pro basketball until around 2003. In later years, he's been candid about the personal battles that shaped and shortened his career. He's spoken openly about dealing with substance abuse and mental health challenges, including anxiety in big crowds and the pressures that came with NBA life. Fans who watched him in his short peak still talk about his athleticism and scoring ability, especially his performance in the finals. Many believe he could have been a long-term difference maker in the league. Dumas' story stands as one of talent met with real struggles, a player who briefly shined at the highest level, lost years to suspensions, and then found his way through basketball around the world before stepping away from the game for good. Roy Tarpley, born November 28, 1964 in New York City, he played high school ball at Cooley High in Detroit before heading to the University of Michigan from 1982 to 1986. At Michigan, he averaged just over 13 points, nearly 8 rebounds, and more than 2 blocks per game, earning All-American honors and being named Big Ten Player of the Year in 1985. Dallas picked him 7th overall in the 1986 NBA Draft, and he made the All-Rookie First Team right away. By his second season, he was 6th Man of the Year, averaging 13.5 points and nearly 12 rebounds. He stepped up even more in the 1988 playoffs, putting up almost 18 points and 13 rebounds a night while helping the Mavericks reach the Western Conference Finals. Off the court, problems started early. He admitted in 1987 to struggling with alcohol and cocaine. In 1989, a DWI arrest led to a suspension. After a short reinstatement in 1990, more incidents, including additional DWIs and refusing a drug test, led to a lifetime ban in October 1991. The NBA reinstated him in 1994, and he signed a 6-year, $20 million deal with Dallas. But by December 1995, another violation tied to alcohol brought a permanent ban. From there, Tarpley played overseas in Greece, Cyprus, Russia, and China, as well as in U.S. minor leagues like the CBA and USBL, before retiring in 2006. In 2002, he tried to work his way back, training with Coach John Lucas in Houston and drawing interest from NBA teams, but no deal materialized. In 2007, he sued the NBA and Mavericks under the Americans with Disabilities Act, claiming his addiction was a disability and that he'd followed testing requirements. The case was settled in 2009 with terms undisclosed. Tarpley died January 9, 2015 in Arlington, Texas, at age 50. While no official cause was released, reports pointed to liver failure. Mavericks owner Mark Cuban summed up his legacy by saying Tarpley could have been an incredible player. His story remains one of huge talent, overshadowed by personal battles, with a career that burned bright but ended far too soon. Rest in peace, Roy Tarpley. Chris Washburn, born May 13, 1965. He came out of NC State as one of the most hyped big men of his class. Golden State picked him 3rd overall in the 1986 NBA draft, expecting a franchise-changing center. His rookie year with the Warriors in 1986 to 87 and part of 1987 to 88 showed flashes, but across 72 total NBA games, split between Golden State and a later stint with Atlanta, he averaged just over 3 points, around 2.5 rebounds, and a fraction of an assist per game. The talent was there, but so were the issues. Washburn became the 6th player in NBA history to get a lifetime ban under the league's anti-drug policy. The penalty came after 3 violations in 3 years, with the final relapse happening during his time with the Hawks. In June 1989, the NBA handed down the lifetime ban. Though he technically could have applied for reinstatement after 2 years, he never made it back. Life after basketball was rough. Through the 1990s, Washburn battled severe personal struggles that led to a 3-year prison sentence for drug possession. Reports later detailed periods of homelessness, painting a stark picture of how far he'd fallen from being a top 3 draft pick. By 2012, though, there was a different story. At 45 years old, Washburn was 12 years sober. He'd built a successful business and was involved in his community, using his own experience to help others avoid the same mistakes. The man who once lost everything to addiction had found a way to rebuild, even if it came long after his NBA window had closed. From a dominant college career to a short and troubled NBA run to prison and redemption, Washburn's journey remains one of the league's most extreme examples of unrealized potential and of how life after the game can take turns far beyond the court. Eddie Johnson, born February 24, 1955 in Ocala, Florida, he built his reputation at Auburn before being drafted 49th overall in the 3rd round of the 1977 NBA draft by the Atlanta Hawks. Across 10 NBA seasons from 1977 to 1987, he played in 675 games, averaging just over 15 points per game. He earned All-Star nods in 1980 and 1981, and made the NBA All-Defensive Second Team in both 1979 and 1980. But off the court, Johnson was battling a cocaine addiction that shadowed his entire career. Multiple suspensions marked his time in the league, and in 1986, he entered rehab in an attempt to address the problem. The turning point came on December 6, 1987, when the NBA permanently banned him for failing to follow through with the mandatory drug counseling that was part of his reinstatement conditions. That ended his career for good, with no return to the league. Life after basketball spiraled further. Johnson racked up a long list of criminal convictions: burglary, battery, robbery, drug possession, and resisting arrest among them. The most serious came in 2008, when he was convicted of the sexual battery of an 8-year-old girl. That conviction resulted in a life sentence without the possibility of parole. He remained in prison until his death on October 26, 2020, at the age of 65, reportedly from an undisclosed illness. From 2-time All-Star and defensive standout to permanent NBA exile and life behind bars, Johnson's story is one of sharp contrast, a career that once held consistent on-court production and accolades, ultimately overshadowed by addiction, repeated legal troubles, and a final chapter spent in prison. John Drew, born September 30th, 1954, in Vredenburg, Alabama. He made his mark at Gardner-Webb University before being drafted to 25th overall in 1974 by the Atlanta Hawks. As a rookie, he averaged 18.5 points and 10.7 rebounds per game, led the league in offensive boards, and earned all-rookie first-team honors. He became a two-time All-Star in 1976 and 1980 and put up over 20 points a game in 5 different seasons. In 1975 to 76, he averaged 21.6, and the next year, nearly 25. Across 11 NBA seasons with Atlanta and later Utah, he scored 15,291 points for a career average of 20.7 per game, along with just under 7 rebounds and nearly 2 assists. His career was also defined by battles with cocaine addiction. In the 1982 to 83 season, he missed 38 games while in rehab. He returned to form, but relapsed in 1985. In January 1986, Commissioner David Stern's newly strengthened substance abuse policy led to Drew's permanent ban after his 3rd offense. At the time, he was with the Wyoming Wildcatters in the CBA, where he had been named Newcomer of the Year and made the All-CBA first team. The ban made him ineligible to return before 1987 to 88, but he never played in the NBA again. After basketball, Drew largely stayed out of the spotlight. By 2002, he spoke publicly about overcoming his addiction and revealed he was working as a taxi driver in Houston. Drew passed away on April 10, 2022, in Houston at age 67 after battling stage 4 bone cancer. His career remains a reminder of the NBA's turbulent cocaine era of the 1970s and 1980s, a time when the league's drug problem was both public and deeply damaging. His rise, peak, and fall became part of the backdrop that drove the NBA to overhaul its drug policy and move toward a stricter, more structured approach to rehabilitation and discipline. Rest in peace, John Drew. Michael Ray Richardson. Born April 11, 1955, in Lubbock, Texas, he starred at the University of Montana, earning 3 straight first-team All-Big Sky selections. The New York Knicks picked him 4th overall in the 1978 NBA draft, setting the stage for a career that would be both brilliant and turbulent. In 8 NBA seasons with the Knicks, Warriors, and Nets, Richardson became a 4-time All-Star. He led the league in assists in 1980 and topped the steals leaderboard 3 times. Twice he made the NBA All-Defensive First Team, and in 1985, he was named Comeback Player of the Year after battling back from earlier substance issues. The comeback didn't last. On February 25, 1986, Commissioner David Stern issued him a lifetime ban under the NBA's drug policy after 3 failed tests. That made Richardson the first active player to receive that penalty. He was technically eligible to return later, but he never played in the NBA again. Instead, he built a new chapter overseas and in the minor leagues. In the CBA, he won a title with the Albany Patroons in 1987 to 88. In Europe, he starred for clubs like Virtus Bologna, Livorno, Olympique Antibes, and Cholet, winning the FIBA European Cup Winners' Cup in 1990 and the French Pro A Championship in 1995. After retiring as a player, Richardson turned to coaching, leading teams in the CEA and NBL Canada from 2004 to 2014. His resume there included multiple championships and individual coaching honors. Today, Richardson lives in Oklahoma. He runs youth basketball clinics, co-owns a beauty salon, and even works as a kindergarten teacher. He's also the author of a memoir, Banned, which tells his story of NBA stardom, personal collapse, and rebuilding a meaningful life. From all-star point guard to life band, then to a decorated European career, in a second act as a coach and mentor, Richardson's path shows how someone can lose the biggest stage in basketball, yet still find success and purpose far beyond it. Dwayne Washington Sr., born in Eschwege, West Germany, in August of 1964, he grew up to become the older half-brother of Derek Fisher. His basketball path took him through Laredo College for 2 years, then on to Middle Tennessee State University for another 2. By 1987, the Washington Bullets picked him in the second round of the draft, 36 overall. He he got a short NBA run, appearing in 19 games split between the New Jersey Nets and the Los Angeles Clippers. In September of 1988, his career took a sharp turn when the league suspended him for 2 years after he violated the NBA's substance abuse policy with cocaine use. That ban effectively shut the door on any momentum he had in the league. But it didn't end his basketball days. Washington found his groove in the Continental Basketball Association, where in 1989, he helped the Tulsa Fast Breakers win a championship. He later played in the United States Basketball League, and in 1992, he was named Playoffs MVP. His career became a passport full of stamps: France, Spain, Colombia, Venezuela, Israel, and back to Germany, eventually wrapping things up with Skyliners, Frankfurt, toward the late 1990s. The road after his playing days wasn't without trouble. In September of 2012, he was involved in a hit-and-run accident that injured a 70-year-old woman. By July of the next year, a court sentenced him to 60 days in jail, 18 months of probation, and 100 hours of community service. Despite the ups and downs, Washington's basketball journey shows just how far determination can take someone, even when the NBA chapter closes early. His story moves from small-town college gyms to pro locker rooms around the world, with the highs of winning titles overseas and the lows of off-court challenges. It's a career that zigzagged across leagues, continents, and circumstances, always anchored by his talent for the game. Today, his name still pops up in conversations about players whose careers took unexpected turns, a reminder that life after the NBA can be just as complex, unpredictable, and full of chapters worth telling. Dennis Rodman. He's one of the clearest examples of a player whose entire value centered on one elite skill: rebound. Across 14 seasons and 911 games, he averaged 7.3 points and 13.1 rebounds per game. That scoring average is lower than many starters and well below most Hall of Fame forwards. Meanwhile, he finished with 6,683 total points and 11,954 rebounds, nearly doubling his scoring output with boards. His offensive role stayed extremely limited. He attempted very few shots for a player logging heavy minutes, and during his peak stretch from 1992 through 1998, he averaged 16.7 rebounds while taking just 5.4 field goal attempts per game. That's an unusually low offensive workload for someone leading the league in anything. Passing wasn't a major factor either. He averaged 1.8 assists for his career and wasn't used as a primary initiator or facilitator. There was no perimeter scoring role, almost no three-point involvement, and very little shot creation. Most of his points came from putbacks and simple finishes. Where he separated himself was on the glass. He won 7 straight rebounding titles, and in the 1991 to 1992 season, posted 18.7 rebounds per game while scoring under 10 per contest. He also owns the highest career offensive rebound percentage ever recorded. His impact came from controlling possessions, ending them on defense, and extending them on offense. Nearly everything measurable about his career traces back to that single dominant skill: Kyle Korver. His entire career value revolved around one elite skill: shooting. Over 17 seasons and 1,232 games, he averaged 9.7 points, 3 rebounds, and 1.7 assists per game. Those numbers are modest for a 17-year rotation player, and even more unusual for an all-star. Yet his longevity stayed secure because his shooting translated everywhere. He finished as a 42.9% three-point shooter for his career, placing him among the most accurate high-volume shooters ever. In the 2009 to 2010 season, he shot 53.6% from three, setting a single-season record while averaging just 7.2 points. That efficiency spike didn't come with expanded creation or playmaking. His offensive profile remained built on catch-and-shoot opportunities and constant off-ball movement. He averaged 1.7 assists for his career, confirming he wasn't a primary initiator. Usage rates consistently stayed low, showing he rarely finished possessions through isolation or orchestration. Nearly half of his scoring came from threes, with 2 made per game on 4.6 attempts. He never averaged 15 points, 5 assists, or 5 rebounds in any season. Even during his 2015 All-Star year, he posted 12.1 points per game, one of the lower scoring marks for a wing selection. His efficiency, spacing, and gravity drove that recognition. Across 6 teams, his role never shifted from floor spacer and movement shooter. His measurable impact consistently traced back to that singular elite shooting ability. Andre Robertson. The statistical imbalance in his career is immediate. Over 307 games, he averaged 4.5 points in 22.2 minutes per night. For a player who frequently started, that scoring output is unusually low. Add in 4 rebounds and 0.9 assists per game, and the offensive role becomes even clearer. During the 2016 to 2017 season, he logged 30.1 minutes and started 79 games, yet averaged only 6.6 points. That's extended floor time, without corresponding scoring responsibility. Across his career, he made just 1.9 field goals per game, underscoring how rarely possessions flowed through him. His shooting profile further narrowed his function. He converted 25.3% from 3 on 1.4 attempts per game and shot 46.8% from the free throw line. Those percentages limited spacing value and late game offensive trust. He also averaged just 0.9 assists, confirming he wasn't deployed as a creator or secondary initiator. Defensively, the profile shifts. In 2017, he earned all defensive second team recognition, the lone major accolade of his career. His defensive rating of 105.8 reflects consistent assignment against primary perimeter scorers. During peak seasons, he produced between 1.6 and 2.1 combined steals and blocks per game. His teams consistently positioned him as a point of attack defender and wing containment specialist. Offensive expansion never materialized, but defensive responsibility remained constant throughout his rotation years. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Manute Bol, his entire professional identity centered on one overwhelming skill: shot blocking. Across 10 seasons and 624 games, he averaged 2.6 points, 4.2 rebounds, 0.3 assists, and 3.3 blocks per game. That scoring average is historically low for a starting caliber center, yet he remained in rotations for a decade because of what he did at the rim. He finished with 2,086 career blocks, ranking among the top 20 all time, despite playing just 18.7 minutes per game. His 3.3 blocks per contest stand as the second highest career average in league history. No offensive expansion accompanied that production. In fact, he's the only player ever to record more career blocks than points, totaling 2,086 blocks compared to 1,599 points. That's a statistical profile built almost entirely on defense. As a rookie in 1985 to 1986, he recorded 397 blocks, an average 5 per game, setting rookie records in both categories while immediately leading the league. Offensively, there was little growth. He never averaged 5 points in any season and finished with just 2.6 per game for his career. His assist average sat at 0.3, confirming no playmaking role. Despite standing 7'6" with an 8-foot wingspan, his rebounding remained at 4.2 per game. His measurable impact consistently traced back to rim protection, blocking one shot roughly every 5.6 minutes, and anchoring lineups through that singular defensive skill. Steve Novak, the thing he's known for, perimeter shooting. Across 11 seasons and 467 games, he averaged 4.7 points, 1.3 rebounds, and 0.3 assists per game. That's extremely limited all-around production. For a player who lasted more than a decade, he scored 2,177 total career points, and 575 of his made field goals came from beyond the arc. A significant share of his scoring derived directly from spot-up three-point attempts. His career shooting splits show the structure clearly. He shot 43.7% from the field and 43% from three, meaning his overall efficiency almost mirrored his perimeter accuracy. His free throw percentage sat at 87.7%, reinforcing his shooting specialization. During the 2011 to 2012 season, he led the league in three-point percentage at 47.2%. That marked his statistical peak, not driven by expanded scoring, rebounding, or playmaking. He averaged 8.8 points that year, his highest scoring season, and still remained a low-volume contributor outside shooting. He averaged 1.6 field goals made per game for his career, with 1.2 of those coming from three. Assists, rebounds, steals, and blocks all remained minimal. Despite standing 6'10", he didn't provide notable interior scoring, rim protection, or rebounding. Across 9 teams, his roster value consistently traced back to spacing and shooting efficiency alone. Patrick Beverley, His career value has centered overwhelmingly on point-of-attack defense. Over more than a decade in the league, he's averaged 8.3 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 3.4 assists per game. That's modest production for a starting-level guard and long-term playoff rotation player, yet he's consistently held meaningful roles. Offensively, he's never operated as a primary scorer or offensive engine. His usage rates have typically remained at role player levels, meaning he wasn't finishing a high volume of possessions. His assist average of 3.4 per game is solid, but not reflective of a primary initiator. Efficiency metrics such as true shooting percentage have hovered around league average, showing no scoring specialization. Defensively, his measurable impact stands out more clearly. He owns a career defensive rating of 109.7, reflecting sustained responsibility on that end. He regularly matched up against opposing lead guards and primary ball handlers, functioning as a perimeter containment defender rather than a help side anchor. He was also the inaugural recipient of the league's Hustle Award, an honor tracking deflections, loose balls recovered, contested shots, and charges drawn. Those metrics are closely tied to on-ball defensive pressure and effort-driven disruption. While he's averaged 1.1 steals per game and 4.1 rebounds, his defensive value hasn't been built on rim protection or elite box score totals. Instead, it's come from consistent pressure at the point of attack. Across multiple teams, his role has remained stable. His longevity and playoff presence have been driven primarily by that singular defensive specialization. Ish Smith, his entire professional profile centers on one specialized function, ball handle. Across 14 seasons, 805 games, and 13 different franchises, he averaged 7.1 points, 3.8 assists, and 2.4 rebounds per game. That's modest production for a long-term rotation guard, yet teams kept calling because they needed one specific skill. He totaled 5,712 points and 3,044 assists in his career. Steady, but never overwhelming numbers. During his highest usage season in 2015 to 2016, he averaged 12.6 points and 6.5 assists, which stands as his statistical peak. Outside that stretch, scoring stayed limited and never became the focus. His shooting profile capped his off-ball value. He finished with a 32.5% mark from three-point range, which restricted spacing impact and catch-and-shoot opportunities. He wasn't a defense specialist either, averaging 0.7 steals and 0.2 blocks per game. Rebounding remained at 2.4 per contest, solid but unspectacular. His assist average of 3.8 per game sits below primary creator territory, yet advanced tracking consistently graded his handle above 88% of league peers. He paired that control with low turnover volume, giving the ball away about 1.2 times against 3.8 assists. That ratio shows secure possession management. Teams deployed him as a tempo guard and bench initiator, trusted to break pressure and calm chaotic stretches. He wasn't a scoring guard, perimeter shooter, or stopper. His longevity across 14 seasons ties directly to reliable on-ball control. Reggie Evans. His career revolved around one elite skill, rebounding. Across 13 seasons and 809 games, he averaged 4.1 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 0.6 assists per game. For a long, tenured rotation, big scoring and playmaking remained extremely limited. Yet he sustained a lengthy career because of consistent work on the glass. He averaged 7.1 rebounds while scoring only 4.1 points, meaning his rebound production exceeded his scoring output by more than 70%. Across 13 seasons, he never averaged 10 points, and his offensive role rarely extended beyond putbacks and short finishes. With just 0.6 assists per game, he provided virtually no facilitation. Advanced metrics reinforced the specialization. He posted a career total rebound rate of 21.9%, ranking among the top 5 all time. That means he secured more than 1/5 of all available rebounds while on the floor. He also recorded 1,984 offensive rebounds, highlighting effort and positioning rather than scoring versatility. During the 2012 to 2013 season, he produced a 26.7% total rebound rate, one of the highest single-season marks ever tracked. He led the league in both offensive and defensive rebound percentage that year, despite limited minutes. In another season, he recorded a 37.98% defensive rebound rate, grabbing nearly 38% of available defensive boards. Undrafted, he built a 13-year career without scoring expansion. His measurable impact consistently traced back to possession recovery through rebounding alone. Anthony Morrow. Shooting was the calling card that kept him in the league for 9 seasons and 564 games. He averaged 9.4 points per game, while rebounds sat at 2.2 and assists at 0.9. Those numbers show a specialist, not a stat sheet stuffer. His career shooting splits tell the real story. He hit 44.7% from the field, an elite 41.7% from 3, and 88% at the line. That 3-point mark places him among the most efficient perimeter shooters of his era. As a rookie, in 2008-09, he led the league in 3-point percentage at 46.7%. That was the highest ever recorded by a rookie at the time. His shot distribution reinforces the point. He made 3.5 field goals per game, with 1.4 of those coming from beyond the arc. Playmaking never defined him, and his rebounding and defense metrics stayed modest. He averaged 0.6 steals and 0.1 blocks, numbers that underline a narrow role. Offensively, his value came through catch and shoot chances and floor spacing. He was not a primary creator or ball handler, and transition initiation was limited. Still, teams across 7 different stops kept him in rotation roles because that shooting translated. In 2014-15, he averaged 10.7 points while hitting 43.4% from 3. That defined him. Tony Allen, 14 seasons in the league, and the numbers instantly show what his game was built on. He averaged 8.1 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 1.3 assists per game. That's modest production for a wing who logged major minutes and playoff roles. Offensively, he never averaged 15 points in a season, never operated as a primary creator, and never carried scoring responsibility. That wasn't his lane. What kept him on the floor was defense. He earned 3 all-defensive first-team selections and 3 all-defensive second-team selections, giving him 6 total all-defensive honors. That's elite recognition, not reputation hype. His career total of 1,158 steals, along with 1.4 steals per game, highlights constant disruption at the point of attack. Advanced metrics back it up. He posted a 101.7 career defensive rating, reflecting consistent possession by possession impact over 14 seasons. Tracking data showed that players he defended shot 7.5%, worse than their normal average. Opponents were also held under 42% shooting in his matchups. That's direct suppression, not just effort. His role was clear every night. He took primary perimeter assignments and focused on containment. In Memphis, he became a core piece of their identity, helping them reach the playoffs every season from 2011 through 2017. And that run happened without him ever being a primary scorer. His value split is obvious. Limited offense, minimal playmaking, no scoring specialization, elite perimeter, defense, longevity, starting roles, and playoff trust all trace back to that one skill. Jeremy Evans, an athletic freak of nature. He averaged 3.5 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 0.4 assists per game. For a 6'9" forward, that's extremely limited across the board. His field goal attempts sat at just 2.6 per game, showing he wasn't featured offensively. He wasn't used as a shot creator, post option, or perimeter scorer. His shooting range was basically non-existent. 3-point attempts were almost 0 throughout his career. His scoring didn't come from jumpers or face-up creation. It came near the rim. That's reflected in his 56.9% career field goal percentage, which points to high efficiency shots created by others. Playmaking wasn't part of his role either. 0.4 assists per game confirms he wasn't facilitating offense or initiating sets. On the glass and defensively, production stayed modest at 2.6 rebounds and 0.5 blocks per game. He wasn't a rebounding anchor or rim protector. His identity centered on vertical athleticism. In 2012, he won the NBA Slam Dunk Contest, showcasing elite explosion by dunking 2 basketballs and clearing Gordon Hayward. He also appeared in multiple dunk contests, reinforcing what stood out most. Minutes were limited at roughly 10.5 per game across his career. Still, roster spots followed because of rim running and lob finishing ability. His opportunities typically came from alley, oops, cuts, and transition finishes, not isolation scoring, not perimeter shooting. Despite minimal scoring volume, limited passing, and modest rebounding, he lasted multiple seasons. His measurable value traced back to one clear trait: vertical explosion expressed through dunking and above the rim. Finishing. Phil Pressey. Passing defined his NBA opportunity. Across 3 seasons and 148 games, his production centered almost entirely on assist creation. He averaged 2.9 assists in just 13.6 minutes per game, a high rate for a reserve guard. His scoring never matched typical guard standards, sitting at 3.2 points per game for his career. During the 2013-14 season, he posted 3.2 assists in 15.1 minutes. That usage pattern shows he was deployed to organize offense rather than finish it. He never averaged 5 points in any season, and his career high sat at 3.5. Shot creation and off-ball scoring didn't expand beyond a limited role. Efficiency further clarifies the profile. He shot 34.1% from the field and 25.4% from three. Those numbers indicate he wasn't a scoring threat or floor spacer. His assist totals nearly equaled his scoring, which is rare for guards at the NBA level. His background reinforces the specialization. In 2011-12, he led the Big 12 in assists and assist-to-turnover ratio. He also finished with 580 career assists at Missouri, the program record. In the G League, he averaged 7.6 assists per game, again showing playmaking as the central skill. Other statistical areas remained limited. He averaged 1.5 rebounds, 0.8 steals, and 0.1 block. At 5'11" and 177 pounds, physical limitations reduced defensive versatility and finishing ability. His NBA value centered on one measurable trait: passing and offensive orchestration. Matisse, thigh bull. Defense drives the entire profile. Through 351 career games, his averages sit at 4.9 points, 2 rebounds, and 1.1 assists per game. That's extremely low offensive production for a rotation wing, logging consistent minutes. His career usage rate of 10.3% places him near the bottom tier of offensive involvement among wings. Scoring volume never expanded. In 2020, he averaged 4.7 points in 19.8 minutes. In 2021, that dropped to 3.9 points in 20 minutes. Even with steady rotation roles, offensive responsibility stayed minimal. He hasn't functioned as a primary scorer, secondary option, or offensive initiator. Playmaking output remains limited at 1.1 assists per game, confirming he's not used to run sets or create advantages with the ball. Rebounding impact is modest as well. At 6'5", he averages 2 rebounds per game, which is below typical positional production. Offensively, development has remained secondary to his defining trait. That defining trait showed up before the NBA. At Washington, he won Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year twice and posted an 8.90 defensive box plus-minus in 2018-19, the highest single-season mark recorded in college basketball since 2010. In the NBA, defensive metrics stand out immediately. He has produced seasons with over 2 steals per game in limited minutes and recorded a 3.32 defensive box plus-minus in 2022, ranking among elite defensive seasons. His defensive rating of 101.1 reinforces possession-level impact. His value centers on one measurable skill: defensive disruption. Davis Bertans. At 6'10", the statistical profile doesn't read like a traditional forward. Across 8 NBA seasons, he's averaged 7.7 points, 2.4 rebounds, and 0.9 assists per game. For a long-term rotation player with that size, overall box score production has remained limited. His value has centered on one area: shooting. The numbers from beyond the arc define everything. He owns a 39.6% career three-point percentage, while attempting nearly 5 threes per game. He's also made 885 career three-pointers, placing him firmly in the high-volume, high-efficiency category. His overall field goal percentage sits at 42.2%, barely above his three-point mark, which shows how heavily his scoring depends on perimeter shots. The 2019-20 season highlights the specialization. He averaged 15.4 points per game and knocked down 3.7 threes per contest while shooting 42.4% from deep. That scoring jump directly aligned with three-point volume and accuracy rather than expanded offensive creation. Playmaking has never been part of the equation. He averages 0.9 assists in roughly 18 minutes per game, confirming he's not initiating offense. Rebounding impact is modest at 2.4 per game, which is low for his size. Defensively, he averages 0.4 steals and 0.4 blocks, indicating no measurable specialization on that end. His 86.3% free throw shooting further reinforces the shooting profile. Across multiple teams, his role has consistently remained off-ball spacer and catch-and-shoot threat. His NBA longevity tracks directly to elite perimeter shooting. Kenneth Faried. Energy shaped everything about his NBA role. At 6'8" and 220 pounds, he operated as an undersized power forward and center, yet produced 11.4 points and 8.1 rebounds per game across 478 career games. The production wasn't built on creation or shooting range, it was built on activity. Nicknamed the Manimal, his identity centered on playing hard and fearlessly. That reputation aligned directly with measurable outputs. His scoring came primarily at the rim, reflected in a 54.6% career field goal percentage. He attempted virtually no three-pointers in multiple early seasons, eliminating perimeter skill from his profile. He wasn't used as a stretch forward, post technician, or isolation scorer. Playmaking also remained limited at 1 assist per game. Offensive orchestration wasn't part of his function. Instead, his strongest statistical category was rebounding. He averaged 8.1 boards per game in the NBA and previously led the NCAA with 14.5 rebounds per game in 2011, finishing his college career as the modern era rebounding leader. That production translated through effort-driven plays. His rookie season illustrates the structure. He averaged 10.2 points and 7.7 rebounds in 22.5 minutes, earning all rookie team honors without expanding his shooting or creation skill set. His scoring profile consistently featured putbacks, cuts, and transition finishes. Across multiple teams and seasons, roster value persisted despite minimal shooting range and limited playmaking. His measurable impact centered on motor, hustle, rebounding activity, and rim running. An energy specialist whose production stemmed directly from effort. Nerlens Noel. Defensive disruption defined his NBA presence from day one. Across 9 seasons from 2015 through 2023, he averaged 7.1 points, 6.1 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 1.3 steals, and 1.5 blocks per game. For a former 6th overall pick, the offensive output stayed modest. The defensive activity did not. His career totals include 683 blocks and 588 steals. For a 6'10" big, that steal number stands out immediately. Averaging 1.5 blocks and 1.3 steals per game reflects a rare blend of rim protection and perimeter disruption. Most centers specialize in one. He consistently produced both. That identity started early. In college, he ranked 6th all-time in steal rate for big men and averaged 5.4 blocks and 2.5 steals per 40 minutes. As an NBA rookie, he posted 1.8 steals and 1.9 blocks per game across a full season, a combination that had not been recorded by a rookie before. He also recorded 9 blocks in a single game and became one of only 3 rookies in franchise history to reach 100 blocks in a season. Even as his scoring role decreased, defensive production held firm. In 2021, he averaged 2.2 blocks per game, ranking 3rd in the league. Across various teams and limited minute roles, he continued generating combined steals and blocks at strong per-minute rates. He was never an offensive hub, shooter, or creator. His roster value consistently traced back to one measurable trait: defensive disruption through blocks, steals, and turnover creation. Seth Curry. Three-point efficiency is the defining measurable trait. Across more than 550 career games while averaging 22.5 minutes, he's produced 9.9 points, 2 rebounds, and 1.9 assists per game. That overall stat line is modest for a long-term rotation guard. The separation comes from shooting. He owns a 43.3% career three-point percentage, ranking top 10 all-time in league history and 2nd among active players. That level of efficiency across meaningful volume is rare. He attempts 4 threes per game and has converted 947 of them, meaning a significant portion of his scoring comes directly from perimeter shots. In a recent season, he led the league at 45.6% from 3, reinforcing that the elite accuracy has remained consistent deep into his career. He shot above 40% from 3 in 8 of 9 major seasons, demonstrating sustained efficiency rather than a short peak. Outside of shooting, production is limited. He averages 1.9 assists, 2 rebounds, 0.7 steals, and 0.1 blocks per game. He hasn't operated as a primary playmaker, defensive stopper, or high-impact rebounder. While he can handle the ball, He's not typically deployed as a dominant pick-and-roll initiator or isolation scorer. Even his highest scoring outings align directly with perimeter accuracy, such as a 37-point performance built on 8 made threes. Across multiple franchises and over a decade in the league, his roster value has consistently traced back to one elite skill: shooting and floor spacing. Taco Fall. Physical measurements define the entire NBA profile. Across 3 seasons and 37 games, he averaged 2.2 points, 2.4 rebounds, and 0.2 assists per game. For a center, that statistical output is extremely limited. The reason he reached and maintained roster spots wasn't production volume, it was size. He measured 7'6" and 311 pounds, immediately placing him among the tallest players in league history. At the draft combine, he recorded an 8-foot 2.25-inch wingspan and a 10-foot 2.5-inch standing reach, both all-time records. Those numbers are physical outliers, not skill indicators. Offensively, his role was narrow. He wasn't a shot creator, floor spacer, or passing hub. His 2.2 points per game and 0.2 assists confirm that. He shot 67.3% from the field, but that efficiency came almost entirely from close-range finishes and standing dunks. His standing reach allowed him to score without needing lift or range expansion. Rebounding? Production remained modest at 2.4 per game despite historic height. Defensively, he averaged 0.8 blocks, with rim protection tied directly to vertical presence rather than mobility. Pre-draft evaluations noted limited agility and speed, reinforcing that impact came from dimensions rather than versatility. He averaged just 6.2 minutes per game and was used situationally. Undrafted in 2019, he still secured NBA contracts largely due to record-setting combined measurements. His opportunity and role were overwhelmingly driven by one measurable trait: size. Jahlil Okafor. Low post scoring defined his basketball identity long before he entered the league. Across nearly 250 NBA games, he averaged 10.4 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 0.9 assists per game. The scoring number stands out compared to the limited production in other areas. Coming out of college, he was labeled the most refined low post scorer in his draft class. Evaluations consistently noted that he operated almost exclusively in the painted area and made his living on the block. That projection carried directly into his rookie season in 2015-16, when he averaged 17.5 points and 7 rebounds, while shooting 50.8% from the field. His offense centered on back-to-basket touches, interior footwork, and positioning. Three-point shooting never became part of his profile. His career percentage from deep sits around 22% with minimal attempts. He wasn't deployed as a pick-and-pop big or perimeter creator. His value came from sealing defenders, establishing position, and converting over either shoulder. At Duke, he shot 66.4% from the field with a true shooting mark of 64.1%, numbers driven by efficiency near the rim. In later NBA seasons, he posted field goal percentages of 58.6 and 62.3, again reflecting interior scoring rather than range expansion. Playmaking remained limited at 0.9 assists per game, and defensive impact was not a defining strength. His measurable NBA contribution overwhelmingly traced back to one offensive specialization: low post scoring through advanced footwork and interior touch. Chuck Hayes. Interior defense carried his entire NBA career. Over 11 seasons and 644 games, he averaged 3.7 points, 5 rebounds, and 1.2 assists per game. That offensive production is extremely low for a long-term frontcourt player who logged starter-level minutes, particularly during his time at Houston. At 6'6", he was significantly undersized for a center, yet he consistently defended power forwards and centers. His career defensive rating of 103.2 reflects steady effectiveness across different lineups and roles. Defensive rating estimates points allowed per 100 possessions, and maintaining that figure as an undersized interior defender highlights his specialization. Scoring never defined his value. He never averaged 10 points in a season and wasn't used as a shot creator, floor spacer, or offensive hub. His 1.2 assists per game indicate minimal facilitation responsibility. Offensively, his role centered on setting screens and making short, functional passes rather than generating offense. Defense had been his identity since college, where he earned Southeastern Conference Defensive Player of the Year honors and ranked top 10 in school history in rebounds, steals, and blocks. In the NBA, rebounding remained solid at 5 per game, but not dominant. The emphasis was positioning, leverage, and post containment. He functioned as a matchup-specific interior stopper, using technique and strength rather than size or athleticism. Across more than a decade, without expanding his scoring or shooting profile, he maintained rotation and starting roles. His longevity and team value overwhelmingly trace back to one measurable skill: elite interior and positional defense. Ryan Anderson, stretch. Shooting defined his entire NBA role. Across 12 seasons, he averaged 12.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 0.9 assists per game. That scoring total stands out, but the distribution of those points reveals the specialization. Playmaking remained minimal, and interior production was modest for a 6'9" power forward. He became one of the early modern examples of a stretch four, a power forward, whose primary function is perimeter spacing. In the 2011-12 season, he led the league in three-pointers made and three-point attempts. That same year, he averaged 16.1 points per game and won Most Improved Player. The increase in production directly aligned with perimeter volume. At one stage, he ranked 11th all-time in three-point attempts per game at 4.97. For his position, that attempt rate reflects extreme reliance on outside shooting. His offensive role centered on spot-up threes and picking, pop actions rather than post-scoring or isolation creation. Even in his rookie season, he finished 10th among rookies in three-point percentage at 36.5%, establishing his perimeter identity early. Across his career, he averaged just 0.9 assists per game, confirming he wasn't used as a facilitator or offensive hub. Rebounding sat at 5.3 per game, solid, but not dominant for his size. Traditional power forwards operate near the basket. Anderson operated beyond the arc. His longevity, rotation stability, and offensive value overwhelmingly traced back to one measurable skill: three-point floor spacing from the power forward position. Nikola Jokic. This guy's listed as a center, but somebody forgot to tell him to play like. He's 6'11", 284 pounds, and he's putting up career averages of 22.2 points, 11 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game. 7.4 assists per game. For a center, that's guard territory, and it's not even close. Here's what makes it genuinely ridiculous. He's not just passing like a guard, he's the primary playmaker for his entire team. The Denver Nuggets literally run their offense through him at the top of the key, the same way a point guard runs pick and roll sets. Every cut, every read, every decision starts with him. He became the first center in NBA history to average a triple-double for an entire season. Nobody had ever done it. Centers simply don't average 10 assists per game. That number belongs to Oscar Robertson and Russell Westbrook, not a 7-footer posting up in the paint. He then passed Kareem for the most career assists ever recorded by a center in NBA history. He surpassed 5,667 assists, a record that stood for decades. This past season, he averaged 28.8 points, 12.6 rebounds, and 10.5 assists, while shooting 57% from the field. His assist percentage led the entire NBA at 46.4%. Nearly half of all Denver field goals while he's on the floor were created by him. Traditional centers hover around 10 to 15%. He nearly tripled that. He scores in the post, shoots mid-range, connects from three, and orchestrates the entire offense. That is not a center. That's a center, a forward, and a point guard sharing one body, Shawn Marion. They called him the Matrix. And once you look at his numbers, you'll understand why. 6'7", 228 pounds, listed as a small forward and power forward. But those labels don't come close to describing what he actually did on a basketball court. His career averages were 15.2 points, 8.7 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1.1 blocks per game. Look at that last part again. 1.5 steals and 1.1 block. Steals come from perimeter defenders. Blocks come from interior defenders. Marion averaged both consistently across 16 seasons. That's not something that happens often. That defensive combination alone puts him in a category with almost nobody else in league history. His rebounding numbers are just as wild. At 6'7", he averaged 8.7 rebounds per game for his entire career. There were seasons where he pulled down 10.7 and even 11.3 per game. Those are power forward numbers, center numbers, not wing numbers. On the offensive end, he was finishing fast breaks, cutting to the rim, hitting spot-up threes and crashing the offensive glass. He was doing everything. He also became the first player in NBA history to finish a career with 17,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 1,500 steals, 1,000 blocks, and 500 three-pointers. All 5 of those categories. At once, guards don't have 10,000 rebounds. Bigs don't have 1,500 steals. Marion had both. He started for the 2011 Dallas Mavericks championship team and spent that entire playoff run guarding the opposing team's best perimeter player every single night. Truly positionless. LeBron James, 6'9", 250 pounds, and he's been officially listed at all 5 positions during his career. Point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. All 5. That's not a marketing tagline. That's literally on his basketball reference page. His career averages are 27.1 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game. Think about that combination for a second. Primary scorers don't average 7 assists. Primary playmakers don't average 7 rebounds. LeBron averages both, while also being one of the greatest scorers in the history of the sport. During the 2019 to 2020 season, he led the entire NBA in assists, averaging 10.2 per game. He was the first player in league history to lead the league in assists while being listed primarily as a forward. That season, he wasn't playing like a point guard. He was the point guard, full-time, for the Los Angeles Lakers. Then there's the 2016 finals. He averaged 29.7 points, 11.3 rebounds, 8.9 assists, 2.6 steals, and 2.3 blocks. He became the first player in NBA history to lead both teams in all 5 major statistical categories in a playoff series. Both teams, every category. That kind of production doesn't fit a position. It doesn't fit 2 positions. It barely fits 3. He's grabbing defensive rebounds and pushing the ball himself, creating for teammates like a point guard, finishing in traffic like a center, and locking down the opposing team's best player on the other end. There isn't a label that covers all of that. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Amen Thompson. The Houston Rockets list him as a point guard and small forward, and both of those labels are actually accurate, which almost never happens. This season, he's averaging 17.3 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 5.3 assists per game while shooting 51% from the field. Take a second with those rebounds. Point guards average 3 to 4 per game. Shooting guards average 4 to 5. Thompson's pulling down 7.6, which puts him in small forward territory while still running the offense like a lead guard. That's the whole thing with him. He's too big to be a traditional guard, too skilled as a playmaker to just park him on the wing. He grabs defensive rebounds and immediately pushes the ball himself. No outlet pass needed. He's his own point guard. In transition, on defense, it gets even more interesting. He earned first team all-defense recognition in the 2024 to 2025 season. That season, he posted about 1.4 steals and 1.3 blocks per game. Guards get steals. Bigs get blocks. Thompson gets both, consistently, because he's spending time guarding point guards, wings, and power forwards in the same game. Before the NBA, he was playing in overtime. Elite, averaging 14 points, 6.6 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 2.1 steals. Even then, the numbers didn't fit a single position description. He's not a guard who rebounds well. He's not a forward who can handle the ball. He's both at the same time, every single night. Magic Johnson, 6 feet 9 inches tall, playing point guard, and doing it better than anyone who's ever lived. The highest career assists per game average in NBA history at 11.2. Not just among big men, among everyone, ever. His career averages were 19.5 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 11.2 assists per game. The rebounds are the part that gets overlooked. Traditional point guards average 3 to 4 per game during his era. Magic averaged 7.2. That's forward production coming from the player running your entire offense. He led the NBA in assists 4 separate times. There were seasons where he averaged 13.1, 12.8, and 12.6 assists per game. Those numbers are among the highest single-season totals ever recorded in the history of the sport. Then there's the 1980 NBA Finals. Kareem goes down with an ankle injury before Game 6. The Lakers start a rookie at center. That rookie was Magic Johnson. He responded with 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. The Lakers won the title, and Magic became the only rookie in NBA history to win Finals MVP. He played center, forward, and guard in that same game. As a rookie, his career totals are 17,000, 707 points, 6,559 rebounds, and 10,141 assists. 10,000 assists. His playoff averages were 19.5 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 12.3 assists per game. He wasn't a big man who could pass. He wasn't a point guard who happened to be tall. He was genuinely both, every single night, and nobody has matched it since. Bam, listed as a center, but Miami doesn't use him like a center. They use him like the entire team. His career averages sit around 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. During peak seasons, he's pushed close to 4 assists, which is extraordinarily high for a center. He's not just setting screens and finishing. He's initiating offense from the top of the key, running dribble handoffs for shooters, and making reads that traditionally belong to guards and forwards. On defense, he guards point guards on switches, wings on the perimeter, and centers in the paint, sometimes all in the same game. Miami runs switch-heavy schemes, specifically because he can do that. He averages around 1 steal and 1 block per game, which again is that rare combination of perimeter defensive activity and interior defensive activity happening at the same time from one player. He's also recorded a triple-double with 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. Centers don't typically have 10 assist game. That's not a center stat line. That's a point guard stat line, wearing a center's jersey. Then on March 10th, 2026, he scored 83 points against Washington. 83. He shot 36 for 43 from the free throw line alone. That performance passed Kobe Bryant's 81-point game and sits second in NBA history, behind only Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. A center who averages around 20 points per game dropped 83. The positionless versatility is remarkable. The 83 points is something else entirely. Andrei Kirilenko, 6'9", listed as a small forward and power forward, and he holds a record that nobody has come close to matching. He recorded 3 5x5 games in his career. A 5x5 means at least 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks in one game. He did it 3 times. That's the most in NBA history. His career averages were 11.8 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.4 steals, and 1.8 blocks per game. Every single category: scored, rebounded, created for teammates, defended the perimeter, and protected the rim. All of it. During the 2004 to 2005 season, he led the entire NBA in blocks per game, not just among forwards, the whole league. Block leaders are almost always centers. Kirilenko played forward and still won it. In the 2005 to 2006 season, he averaged 15.3 points, 8 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 1.5 steals, and 3.2 blocks. 4 assists and 3 blocks in the same season. That combination of guard-level playmaking and center-level rim protection in one stat line is genuinely unusual. He also became the first player in NBA history to record 150 assists, 150 blocks, and 50 three-pointers made in a single season. 3 separate skill categories that belong to 3 separate positions. He did all 3 in the same year. By the end of his career, he had over 1,400 blocks and over 1,000 steals. Almost no forwards in NBA history reached 1,000 in both categories. Kirilenko did, and it wasn't particularly close. Giannis, officially listed at 4 different positions throughout his career: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and power forward. Most players get 1 or 2 listings. Giannis gets 4. His career averages are 24 points, 9.9 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. This season, he's at 28 points, 10 rebounds, 5.6 assists, and 64.5% from the field. 64.5%. That's an absurd number for a player handling that kind of offensive responsibility. He became the first player in NBA history to finish a season in the top 20 in total points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks all at once, all 5 categories, every position's primary statistical contribution, and he ranked top 20 in every single one of them. During the 2016 to 2017 season, Milwaukee used him as a full-time point forward. That season, he led the Bucks in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, all 5 categories on the same team in the same season. That doesn't happen. His career totals include roughly 21,000 points, 8,800 rebounds, over 4,400 assists, nearly 1,000 steals, and over 1,000 blocks. The blocks and steals together, again, signal that rare combination of perimeter and interior defensive impact from one player. During the 2021 finals, he averaged 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. That's a center's rebounding numbers, a scorer's point total, and a guard's assist production, all wrapped into one stat line during the biggest stage in the sport. There's no clean position for that. Boris Diaw. Whatever the team needed, Diaw could fill it. His career averages were 8.6 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game. That assist number is where it starts getting interesting. Power forwards historically average 1 to 2 assists. Traditional centers average less than 2. Diaw averaged 3.5 for his entire career, and there was one season where he completely shattered that number. In 2005 to 2006, Phoenix lost Amare Stoudemire to injury and moved Diaw into the starting center role. That season, he averaged 13.3 points, 6.9 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and 1 block per game, while shooting 52.6% from the field, 6.2 assists per game. Playing center, point guards average 6 to 10 assists, centers average 1 to 3. Diaw nearly matched point guard production from the center position and won the Most Improved Player award that year. He then joined San Antonio and became one of the key pieces of their 2014 championship team. The Spurs used him as a high post facilitator, running dribble handoffs, finding cutters, and spacing the floor with guard level decision-making from a big man's body. His career totals include 3,684 assists as a forward and center. That total is comparable to many guards and wings historically. He never dominated a stat sheet. He never needed to. He just did whatever position required doing, and he did it well enough to win a championship. Alperen Sengun, currently averaging 20.2 points, 9.1 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game. 6.3 assists for a center. Most centers average 2 to 3. Sengun more than doubles that production. He's running dribble handoffs, operating as a high post facilitator, making short roll passes, and functioning as Houston's primary offensive creator. Those are point guard responsibilities happening inside a center's body. He's already the youngest center in NBA history to record multiple triple-doubles. He became the youngest player in Houston Rockets history to record a triple-double on January 11, 2023 with 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. Shortly after that, he followed it up with 21 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists, making him the youngest center in league history to do it twice. He also became one of only 2 centers in NBA history to record at least 5 assists in the first 11 games of a season. The other one was Nikola Jokic. That's the company he's keeping with his playmaking numbers. His early career production puts him in a group of only 5 players in NBA history to reach 4,000 points, 2,000 rebounds, 1,000 assists, 200 blocks, and 250 steals within roughly 250 career games. The other 4 players in that group are Alvin Adams, Larry Bird, Lionel Simmons, and Chris Webber, all known for being versatile across multiple statistical categories. He's also the first player in NBA history to reach 3,000 points, 1,500 rebounds, and 700 assists in fewer than 6,000 career minutes. He's only getting started. Draymond Green, 6 feet 6 inches tall, 230 pounds, with a 7 feet 1 wingspan, and he spent his entire career playing power forward and center against players who are sometimes 5 inches taller than, and it's worked. 4 championships with Golden State. His career scoring average sits around 8 to 9 points per game. That's the lowest number on his stat line and also the least interesting one. What matters is that he averages around 7 rebounds, 5 to 6 assists, 1.4 steals, and 1 block per game simultaneously. That's a front court rebounder, a primary playmaker, a perimeter defender, and a rim protector, all in one rotation. He has over 5,000 career assists as a power forward and center. Those positions historically average 1 to 3 assists. Draymond averages 5 to 6. He's running dribble handoffs with Steph. Curry, calling plays from the top of the key and directing offensive sets like a point guard while starting at the 4 or 5. He won Defensive Player of the Year in 2017 and has 9 total all-defensive selections, 5 of them first team. That same season, he led the NBA in steals. Steal leaders are guards. Draymond was playing forward and center. In 2017, he recorded 12 rebounds, 10 assists, 10 steals, and 5 blocks in a single game, 4 points. He recorded a triple-double in steals, rebounds, and assists without even reaching 10 points. That stat line has almost never happened in NBA history. He also holds the Golden State Warriors franchise record for career triple-doubles with 31. His game isn't built around scoring. It's built around doing everything else, and nobody's done everything else quite like him. Lamar Odom, 14 seasons, 13.3 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game. That assist number is the one that doesn't make sense on paper because typical NBA forwards average around 2 per game. Odom regularly doubled it. The 2005 to 2006 season tells the whole story. 14.8 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. Very few players, near 6'10", average more than 5 assists in a season. He was pulling down 9 rebounds and then handling the ball in transition like a guard. No outlet pass, no waiting. He pushed it himself. His rebounding was full power forward production too. 10.2 per game in 2004 to 2005. 10.6 in 2007 to 2008. Those are center numbers. He was doing center work on the glass and then initiating offense like he played guard. Even in college at Rhode Island, he averaged 17.6 points, 9.4 rebounds, and 3.8 assists. The positional confusion started before he ever played an NBA game. Defensively, he averaged around 1 steal and 1 block per game for his career, which again shows that rare combination of perimeter and interior defensive activity from one player. He won championships with the Lakers in 2009 and 2010, then won 6th Man of the Year in 2011. Even coming off the bench, he was the kind of player who could switch onto a guard, grab a rebound, push the fast break, and create for teammates, all in the same sequence. There wasn't a roster spot that described what he actually did. Ben Simmons, the first overall pick in 2016, and from day one, nobody could figure out what position to put him at. That's not a criticism, that's the whole point. His career averages are 13.1 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 7.2 assists per game, while shooting 55% from the field. 7 rebounds and 7 assists. Forwards don't average 7 assists. Point guards don't average 7 rebounds. Simmons averages both. Every season he's been healthy. His rookie year, he averaged 15.8 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. Near triple-double numbers as a first-year player. He recorded 12 triple-doubles that rookie season, the second highest total by any rookie in NBA history. The only player ahead of him was Oscar Robertson. He also became one of only 3 rookies ever to reach 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, and 500 assists in a single season. The other 2 were Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson. That's the company his rookie numbers put him in. Throughout his time in Philadelphia, he was the primary ball handler, bringing the ball up the court, running pick and roll actions, and initiating fast breaks, all while doing it with a power forward's body. He'd grab a defensive rebound and push it himself, combining 2 separate positional roles in one possession. Defensively, he's guarded all 5 positions depending on the matchup. Point guards, wings, forwards, and centers in small ball lineups. He has over 500 career steals and over 250 blocks, again showing that combination of perimeter and interior defensive production from one player. 33 career triple-doubles. The position confusion was never a problem. It was always the feature. Sabonis, 69 career triple-doubles. Playing center, that number alone tells you everything you need to know. His career averages are 16.1 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 4.9 assists per game, nearly 5 assists per game as a center. The typical center averages around 2. Sabonis consistently doubles that production, while also being one of the best rebounders in the league. Since joining Sacramento, the numbers have gotten even more ridiculous. As a King, he's averaged roughly 19 points, 13 rebounds, and around 7 assists per game. 7 assists from a center. He's not just finishing plays, he's creating them. Running offense through the elbow, delivering backdoor passes to cutters, and making decisions that traditionally belong to point guards. The individual game performances back all of it up. He's had a game with 22 points, 23 rebounds, and 12 assists. He's had another with 20 points, 26 rebounds, and 5 assists, while shooting 10 for 11 from the field. Those aren't center stat lines. Those aren't even forward stat line. Those are all-time unicorn stat line. During the 2021 season, he averaged 20.3 points, 12 rebounds, and 6.7 assists per game. That level of playmaking has almost never come from a player classified as a center in league history. His career totals include roughly 10,700 points, 7,000 rebounds, and 3,200 assists. 3,200 career assists as a center is genuinely remarkable, and he's still actively adding to it. He leads the league in rebounds, initiates the offense, and fills every statistical category simultaneously. There's no one-word answer for what position he plays. Tony Kukoc, 3,119 career assists as a 6'10" forward. In the 1990s, that number alone separates him from almost every big man of his era. His career averages were 11.6 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game across 846 games. During his Bulls year specifically, those numbers jumped to 14.1 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. A forward averaging over 4 assists per game in the 90s was genuinely uncommon. Most power forwards of that era were lucky to average 2. Chicago used him as the offensive initiator for the second unit. When Michael Jordan rested, when Scottie Pippen wasn't handling the ball, the offense ran through Kukoc. He was making reads, running sets, and creating for teammates, all from a 6'10" body that most teams would have parked in the post and told to rebound. His best statistical season shows exactly what he was capable of. 18.8 points, 7 rebounds, and 5.3 assists in the 1998 to 99 season. That stat line belongs to a scoring wing, a rebounding forward, and a playmaking guard all at once. He also shot 33.5% from 3 for his career, which matters because most power forwards in his era weren't shooting threes at all. His perimeter shooting, combined with his passing ability, made him nearly impossible to guard with a traditional forward. He won 3 championships with Chicago in 1996, 97, and 98, won 6th Man of the Year in 1996, and finished his career with over 3,000 assists as a front court player. The position never quite fit. Tyreke Evans. As a rookie, he averaged 20.1 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.8 assists per game. That stat line put him in a group of players to average at least 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists as a rookie. The other names in that group are Oscar Robertson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and Luka. That's the company his rookie season put him in. He won Rookie of the Year in 2010, started all 72 games he played, and averaged 37 minutes per game as Sacramento's primary offensive creator, 6'6", listed as a guard forward and running the entire offense like a point guard. Players that size almost never operate as the primary ball hand. Evans did it from day one. His rookie triple-double tells the story perfectly. 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. Guards don't grab 10 rebounds. Forwards don't dish 10 assists. Evans did both in the same game as a first-year player. The numbers held up beyond that rookie season too. His career averages across 594 games were 15.7 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 4.8 assists per game. Most guards don't maintain that rebound production across their career. Most wings don't average nearly 5 assists. During the 2015 season with New Orleans, he averaged 16.6 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 6.6 assists per game. 6 assists and over 5 rebounds simultaneously from a guard. That combination is genuinely rare at any position. His size said wing, his rebounding said forward, his playmaking said point guard. The position label never really stuck because none of them were fully accurate. Karl Anthony Towns, a center who shoots nearly 40% from 3 for his career. That number alone breaks the traditional definition of the position. His career averages are around 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, while shooting roughly 52% from the field and 84% from the free throw line. That free throw percentage matters because most traditional centers historically shoot significantly worse from the line. Towns shoots it like a guard. The three-point shooting is what truly separates him from every center archetype that came before. High volume, nearly 40%, from a player who also posts up, hooks, and finishes at the rim. He's not choosing between being a perimeter scorer and an interior scorer. He does both in the same game every night. That versatility forces opposing defenses into impossible decisions. If they guard him with a traditional center, he pulls that center 40 feet from the basket and shoots over them. If they switch a smaller defender onto him, he takes them to the post. There's no clean answer. He's had games with 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. Centers producing double-digit assists in a single game is historically uncommon. His playmaking isn't the primary part of his game, but it's real enough that defenses can't ignore it. He won Rookie of the Year in 2015 to 2016, averaging 18.3 points and 10.5 rebounds in his first season. And he's built on that foundation ever since, with multiple All-Star selections. He's listed as a center, but his offensive skill set reads like a shooting guard who decided to play in the paint. That combination didn't really exist before the modern era, and nobody's done it quite like him. PJ Tucker, at 6'5" and roughly 245 pounds, he doesn't resemble the traditional center build that usually stands closer to 6'10" or even 7 feet tall. Yet lineups throughout his career placed him everywhere from the wing to the middle of the floor. Officially, he's been listed as a small forward and power forward, but those labels barely explain how teams actually used him. Rotations regularly shifted him onto bigger front court players, while also expecting him to hold up against quicker perimeter scorers. That type of defense responsibility demands strength, balance, and positioning more than height alone. Statistically, his role has never centered on heavy scoring. Career averages sit around 6.6 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 1.4 assists per game. Those numbers reflect a specialist who focuses on possession battles, spacing, and defensive assignments rather than shot volume. One of the clearest examples came during the 2019 to 2020 season when Houston leaned fully into small ball lineups. Tucker handled duties normally given to centers even while giving up several inches in height. He battled for rebounds, boxed out taller players, and still stretched the floor with reliable corner three-point shooting. That offensive role became a trademark. During the 2018 to 2019 season, he averaged 1.8 made threes per game while shooting 37.7% from deep. His versatility stayed clear. Robert Covington. Covington entered the league undrafted in 2013 and made his NBA debut on January 18, 2014. From that point forward, his role quickly evolved into something unusual. Official listings placed him at small forward and power forward, but lineup usage often pushed him into even bigger responsibilities, including small ball center in certain rotations. Across more than 600 career games, he has averaged 10.8 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 1.4 assists per game. His defensive production stands out even more. Covington has averaged about 1.5 steals and 0.9 blocks per game across his career, a statistical mix that rarely appears from players primarily used on the wing. That defensive versatility earned league recognition as well. In 2018, he was selected to the NBA All-Defensive First Team, highlighting the value of his multi-positional defense. Offensively, he adds floor spacing through perimeter shooting, hitting roughly 36% of his career three-point attempts. That shooting allows lineups to place him anywhere from the wing to the front court while still maintaining offensive spacing. Josh Giddey, at 6 feet 7 inches and about 214 pounds. His frame fits the typical range of a wing or even a small forward, yet his responsibilities look much closer to a primary point guard running the offense. Across his career, he has averaged roughly 14.1 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 6.1 assists per game. Those numbers combine production usually spread across multiple positions rather than one. Rebounding stands out immediately. Guards typically average somewhere around 3 to 4 rebounds per game. Giddey's 7.5 rebounds per night puts him much closer to what many forwards produce, allowing him to control possessions and start transition opportunities right after securing the ball. Playmaking remains the core of his offensive role. He regularly functions as a primary initiator, directing half-court sets and pushing the pace in transition. His assist production has stayed above 6 per game during his career, a mark usually associated with lead guards. Early in his career, he also reached a historic milestone, becoming the youngest player in NBA history to record a triple-double at 19 years and 84 days old. That achievement highlighted exactly why his skill set stands out, combining scoring, rebounding, and passing production rarely seen from one player, Marcus Smart. Officially, he's listed as a point guard or shooting guard, standing 6 feet 3 inches and weighing around 220 pounds. That frame fits the typical guard mold, but the responsibilities assigned to him regularly stretch far beyond that. He entered the league as the 6th overall pick in the 2014 draft after playing at Oklahoma State. From the start, his reputation centered on defense, physical play, and versatility, rather than traditional scoring production. Across his career, he has averaged roughly 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. Those numbers don't jump off the page offensively, but his defensive production tells a different story. Smart averages around 1.6 steals per game, reflecting his constant activity, disrupting passing lanes and ball handlers. His impact became historically clear in 2022 when he won the NBA Defensive Player of the Year award. Guards almost never win that honor. In fact, he became the first guard to claim the award since Gary Payton in 1996, a gap of more than 2 decades. That recognition came from his ability to defend nearly anyone on the floor. Smart regularly takes assignments against point guards, wings, and even larger forwards during switches. Despite standing 6'3", he's known for battling bigger players in the post and holding position through strength and timing. Offensively, he has also functioned as a primary playmaker at times, averaging 5.9 assists during the 2022 season. Michael Carter-Williams. This guy had one of the strangest NBA careers ever. His first game, absolutely insane. He dropped 22 points, dished out 12 assists, grabbed 7 rebounds, and swiped 9 steals, all in his debut. That steal total, still the most ever for a rookie in their first game. People thought he was the second coming. The league named him Eastern Conference Player of the Week right away. That hadn't happened since Shaq did it back in the early 90s. But after that, things got weird, fast. He had shoulder surgery before his second season and just never looked the same. His rookie numbers were right there with legends like Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson, but then it all flatlined. Off the court, it got even messier. He got hit with a $500 fine for shoplifting a robe and gloves in college. A robe, gloves, not exactly typical future NBA star behavior. Later, he opened up about anxiety attacks and how the stress ruined his relationships and career, but then came the twist, boxing. In 2025, he showed up in a charity heavyweight match and joined ESPN as an analyst. Honestly, that pivot's just wild. Thon maker. Everything about him felt like a glitch in the basketball simulation. First, that draft age drama. He claimed to be 19, but a bunch of front offices whispered he was probably 21, maybe even 23. Teams flat out passed on him over it. Then there's how he slid past the 1-year college rule. He convinced the NBA that his last year in Canada was a prep year, not high school, making him eligible for the draft without touching college ball. Legal, but weird. His high school mixtapes showed a 7-footer crossing dudes up, running the floor, and flying with a 32-inch vertical, highest ever for someone his size. Then he hit the league and barely did anything. Across 6 years, just 4.6 points per game. Random flashes here and there, then off. He went to G League, China, Israel, Lebanon. His background's wild too. Born in Sudan, fled to Uganda, got refugee status in Australia, and zigzagged across North America for school. And don't forget the family. One cousin tried for the NBA, another plays soccer for a club literally named Flat Earth FC. That alone deserves a raised eyebrow. Sean Bradley. This guy's story is built out of weird block. Literally, standing 7 feet 6 inches tall, he was one of the tallest players in league history. But that size didn't come from any condition. It was all natural. He was a blocking machine too, with the highest block percentage ever recorded and over 2 blocks per game across 12 seasons. And yeah, he even had a game with 22 points, 22 rebounds, and 13 blocks off the bench. That stat line had only been matched by a few Hall of Famers. Still, he finished with just 8 points and 6 boards per game. He wasn't just tall, he was odd. Nicknamed the Stormin' Mormon, he appeared in Space Jam, ran a cattle ranch with over 350 cows, and started a construction equipment company. In 2021, things turned tragic when a biking accident left him paralyzed from the chest down. At 7'6", there's never been a case like his, requiring custom everything for recovery. Add to that his refusal to attend a strip club event because of his religious beliefs and getting fined for it. And you've got a story that's part NBA, part documentary, and all weird. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Andre Drummond. This man is like a walking contradiction wrapped in rebounds. He once straight up admitted to missing shots on purpose just so he could grab his own rebound. That's not strategy, that's stat padding in its purest form. And then there's the nickname, Big Penguin. No one knows why, including Drummond himself. It's like someone spun a nickname roulette wheel and just stuck with it. In 2016, he missed 23 free throws in a single game. That's not just a bad night, that's a record. He broke Wilt Chamberlain's long-standing record, and not in a good way. His career free throw percentage hovers under 50%, which is, frankly, historic in all the wrong ways. But he still dominates the glass, led the league in rebounding 4 times, and crushed jump ball wins at an almost comical rate. Then there's the moment with the Bulls. He snatched a lob from his own teammate, caused a fall, then rolled his ankle and needed a wheelchair. And once, he got ejected mid-game, only for officials to reverse it minutes later. Oh, and to meet his calorie goals, he drank beer every single day. Drummond's whole career is a string of wild stats, weird choices, and unbelievable moments. Jeremy Lin. His story reads like someone dared reality to get weird. After bouncing around, undrafted, and overlooked, he dropped 89 points in his first 3 starts, more than anyone since the NBA merged. That included back-to-back games where he went toe-to-toe with stars and torched them, all from a Harvard grad who dominated the Ivy League but got stuck in the D-League before getting a shot. He was the first American-born player of Chinese or Taiwanese descent to ever play in the NBA and win a ring. But along the way, he got hit with racist slurs in college and the league. He trademarked Linsanity, but turned down major endorsement offers because of his faith. That's not just weird, it's rare. His sudden fame didn't last. The Knicks rode the wave, but teammates reportedly got jealous. The frenzy burned out in just weeks. Then he quietly bounced through several teams before winning a title with Toronto in 2019. Since then, China, Taiwan, podcasting, philanthropy, and a wax statue prank at Madame Tussauds. He's weird, not because he tried to be. He just never fit the mold. And every chapter of his journey proves it wasn't an accident. Corey Brewer. His entire NBA story hangs on one of the weirdest box scores ever. Back in April of 2014, he dropped 51 points out of nowhere. That wasn't just a career high, it was a career detour. He averaged 8.7 points for his entire career and never got close to that again. It's the statistical equivalent of someone shouting during a library tour and then vanishing. This wasn't some bench warmer who came out of nowhere either. He won back-to-back NCAA titles with Florida and was Final Four most outstanding player. Then he got drafted 7th overall and spent nearly 2 decades in the league as a defensive specialist. He chased stars like Kobe, LeBron, Wade, and Durant around screens, swiping passes and sprinting in transition. But then, out of thin air, came that scoring explosion. It was so wild that Reddit called it the most statistically random 50-point game in league history. He made his name playing defense, hustling, and being a total chaos agent in the passing lanes. Then he suddenly morphed into a microwave scorer for one night and one night only. That contrast, pure basketball whiplash. And yeah, pretty weird. Gerald Green. His whole career feels like a highlight reel with missing chapters. In 6th grade, he lost part of his right ring finger while dunking on a homemade rim. That didn't stop him. He turned into a high flyer with a nearly 40-inch vertical. He didn't even start playing high school ball until his sophomore year, but still won the McDonald's All-American Dunk Contest in 2005. Then came the NBA Slam Dunk Contest in 2007, where he blew out a birthday candle mid-air and won the whole thing. The next year, he lost to Dwight Howard, despite another airborne candle stunt. He scored a 91 in the dunk finals once, but his dunks became more memorable than his games. Green later said the contest hurt Gerald, pigeonholing him as just a dunker. He played overseas in Russia and China, then came back to drop 41 points in a Suns game, just to disappear again. He joined the G League in 2022 and helped Rio Grande Valley win a title. His story's packed with wild dunks, overseas stints, sudden scoring, and a missing finger, never boring, always unpredictable. That's Gerald Green, part superhero, part mystery. Meta World Peace. This man is a real-life plot twist. He legally changed his name from Ron Artest to Meta World Peace in 2011 to promote kindness. Then elbowed James Harden in the head so hard the guy nearly got knocked into next week. Years later, he added Sandiford to honor his wife. The name Journey alone reads like a satire, but nothing tops the malice at the palace. He jumped into the stands and punched a fan after getting hit with a drink. That brawl got him suspended 86 games, the longest non-drug ban in NBA history. And yet, after all that, he donated his championship ring and became a vocal mental health advocate. You can't make this stuff up. On the weirdness scale, haunted hotel. He claimed ghosts touched him inappropriately, said he considered suing them, but stayed because he wanted to finish a movie. He also once drank Hennessy at halftime. And then, reality shows, lip sync battle, Big Brother, Masked Singer, even Dancing with the Stars, where he got booted in week 1. His career bounces from chaos to peace, fists to therapy, and haunted hotel rooms to donation campaigns. Meta World Peace is contradiction personified. Chris Anderson. This dude might as well have been invented by a tattoo artist during a fever dream. Known as Birdman, he had flame tattoos licking up his arms, wings inked on his biceps, and enough color across his body to qualify as a living mural. But behind the chaotic look was a career full of sharp turns and strange choices. He went undrafted in 2000 and started in the minor leagues before clawing into the NBA through sheer energy and blocked shots. Then, out of nowhere, he got banned in 2006 for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Not suspended, banned. That kind of ruling is reserved for the rarest cases. He spent 2 years out of the league before getting reinstated and coming back just as wild, just as spring-loaded. He became a Miami Heat cult hero in 2013 during their title run, bringing mohawks, screams, and actual production off the bench. He wasn't just a sideshow. He was swatting shots and flying around like a caffeinated hawk. But between the tattoos, the ban, the redemption arc, and that non-stop manic energy, Chris Andersen didn't just play basketball. He flapped, squawked, and dive-bombed through it. Eric Bledsoe. The man had a 7-foot wingspan packed into a 6'1" frame. That's not just long, it's comic book long. You'd expect that kind of reach on a forward, not a compact point guard crashing the lane like a linebacker. But then again, nothing about his career moved in a straight line. His high school transcript came under fire after an algebra grade was mysteriously upgraded from a C to an A, raising eligibility flags before Kentucky scooped him up. The NCAA shrugged it off, but the whole thing smelled sketchy. On the court, he lived at the rim. Nearly half his shots came right at the basket, where he converted nearly 70%. Beyond that, mid-range and deep shooting were a train wreck. And then there's the tweet. I don't want to be here. The Suns claimed he was talking about a hair salon. Nobody bought that. The league fined him $10,000. His career also had these wild bursts, 40-point games, stat sheet stuffing streaks, followed by complete fade-outs. Then came the domestic violence arrest in 2022. Weeks later, he popped up in China with the Shanghai Sharks. Bledsoe's story is a zigzag of elite talent, off-court drama, and basketball tunnel vision. All strange, all real. Andrea Bargnani. It was because of a personality test. Scouts were blown away by his caliper results, calling them historic. On paper, he was a 7-footer with a jumper, so people started tossing around Nowitzki comparisons way too fast. Problem was, Bargnani hated rebounding and interior defense. He logged some of the worst rebounding seasons ever for a player his size, literally dead last for a 7-footer. He entered with shooting hype, but even that went sideways. His numbers dipped year by year, eventually bottoming out at under 28% from 3. Add in bad timing with injuries, appendectomy, torn elbow ligaments, hamstring trouble, and he never found a rhythm. And then came the Knicks moment. In overtime, instead of holding the ball to draw a foul, he jacked a 3 off an offensive rebound and missed. It was the kind of decision that made Raptors fans wonder if he'd ever actually tried to grow his game. After 10 underwhelming seasons, he quietly returned to Europe, claiming he'd have played for free just to fix his narrative. It never happened. Too weird. Too late. Mo Williams. You don't expect a career role player to randomly torch the league for 52 points, but that's exactly what happened in January of 2015. He dropped that on 19 for 33 shooting, while his career average hovered around 13 points per game. That explosion looked more like a glitch than a breakout. Then came the weirdest non-retirement retirement ever. After winning a ring with Cleveland in 2016, he said he was done. Then he reversed it. Then he had knee surgery. Nobody really knew what he was doing, including maybe him. And while still not playing, he got traded 4 times in 1 month. 4. He was claimed, waived, traded again, then waived again, all without touching the floor once. Back in 2015, after LeBron left Cleveland, Williams had a full-on Twitter meltdown, talking about how bad he was and flirting with quitting the league. A blog even called him the worst player on the planet. But plot twist, by 2022, he was a head coach at Jackson State. From random 50-point guy to emotional spiral to sideline boss, Mo Williams pulled off a career arc that feels made up. But it's not. It's just weird. Lamar Odom, one of the strangest blends of talent, chaos, and confession the league has ever seen. Before games, he said he'd relieve stress by masturbating, seriously, and admitted it sometimes drained his energy. Add to that his candy obsession, Twizzlers, gummy bears, chocolate, pounded during games. Doctors warned him, but he kept going like sugar was a pregame supplement. On court, he was an anomaly. 6'10", handled like a guard, won 6th Man of the Year and 2 titles. But consistency was never his thing. One night, a triple-double. The next night, a vanishing act. Off the court, total whirlwind. Drugs, a marriage to Khloe Kardashian, DUI, cheating scandals, and eventually a near-death overdose in a Nevada brothel. And then came the full public unraveling. During a reality TV stint, he casually admitted to peeing in his own bed. That alone puts him in a league of his own. Literally, he made over $100 million, won Olympic gold, and said he shook hands with death. From the Lakers bench to a coma, from Skittles to scandals, his journey is full-on bizarre. It's not just weird, it's a life that played out like a surreal basketball soap opera. Bol. This guy's like a video game character that glitched into real life. At 7'3" with limbs that look copy-pasted from an action figure, he moves like a guard, but blocks like a center. His wingspan's so long, it practically enters the arena 5 seconds before he does. His dad was even taller, so yes, the Bol family tree is basically just one really long branch. He had top 3 pick hype in 2019 before a rare foot injury nuked his stock. He dropped to the second round, got traded immediately, and started bouncing around the league. Denver, Orlando, Phoenix, barely sticking, even when healthy. And yet, out of nowhere, he'll drop a 25-14 game like he's been hiding in plain sight. He once cursed out a ref over a Wembanyama call, and the mic caught every word. That's not your usual gentle giant moment. He's had stretches where he starts and shines, then suddenly vanishes into the bench for weeks. He's a walking contradiction, built like a skyscraper, plays like a shooting guard, but pops up like a part-time ghost. Bol is basketball's glitchiest unicorn, Darko. He was drafted 2nd overall in 2003, right after LeBron James and before Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, and D. Wade. And what did he do? He scored a total of 152 points in 96 games for Detroit. He won a championship ring as a rookie, but barely got off the bench. Youngest finals player ever? Yes. Impact? Basically none. He's admitted since that he was immature and selfish, said he played for his ego, not the team. His attitude clashed with coaches, teammates, and, well, reality. By the time he hit Memphis, he was punching walls and tearing his jersey mid-game. His flashes of skill always got buried under frustration, and then he left the league and went full plot twist. He tried kickboxing in 2014, got knocked out in round 2, tried to return to pro basketball in Serbia, changed his mind. He now runs a giant apple farm in Novi Sad and once entered an international fishing tournament. He even talks openly about his failures, which might be the weirdest turn of all. From NBA bust to orchard boss, Darko's story is pure basketball whiplash. Brandon Roy. He was never supposed to be unpredictable, but that's what makes him so weird. Known for steady production, he suddenly exploded for 52 points in a single game in 2008. He averaged under 19 for his career, yet dropped that nuke out of nowhere. 19 of 33 shooting and 19 free throws. Wildly off-brand. Then came the knees. In 2011, he retired at 27 with no cartilage left. That should have been the end. But 1 year later, he unretired, signed with Minnesota, played 5 games, needed surgery again, and retired for good. The whole cycle was just baffling. And out of nowhere, he re-emerged as a high school coach in Seattle. Not only that, he dominated. By 2023, he'd won 3 state titles and earned National Coach of the Year honors. From All-Star to Sudden Ghost to Youth Dynasty Leader, his playoff arc was just as odd. In 2010, he went from hero to total no-show, missed every shot in a game and barely played. Then, in 2017, he was shot in the leg shielding kids from a drive-by. His career never made sense, and somehow, that's what makes it unforgettable. Michael Olowokandi. He didn't even pick up a basketball until he was 17. Before that, rugby, cricket, and track in London. He found the University of Pacific in a college brochure and offered to pay his way to play. Somehow, that turned into being the #1 pick in the 1998 draft, over Dirk Nowitzki, Vince Carter, and Paul Pierce. He was 7'1", with long arms and smooth feet, but never developed NBA-level skills. His career numbers were underwhelming, just over 8 points and 6 boards a game. In 2001, he made history. For the wrong reason. He became the only player to start all 82 games and still post negative win shares. That's not a slump, that's a math problem. He never attempted a single three-pointer in over 13,000 minutes. He clashed with teammates, ignored coaching. Kareem even called him out. He got fined, suspended, and once even argued with a ref mid-scuffle. And then he vanished. No broadcasting gig, no coaching job, just faded. A #1 pick who became a trivia question. Olowokandi's career is weird, from start to quiet finish, like a headline that never got written. James Johnson. He calls himself Bloodsport and claims to be 20-0 in kickboxing with a black belt in karate, and maybe even some MMA fights. The problem? No one can find any official records. His fight resume seems to shift depending on who's asking. Reddit's been on this for years. It's part tough guy myth, part wait, is that even true? On the court, he's played exactly like someone who might throw a roundhouse kick. He once dunked viciously on Drummond and talked about it like he just scored in Mortal Kombat. He's brawled, bodied up, and built a rep as the guy nobody wants to tangle with during a screen switch. And somehow, through 16 years and 13 different teams, he stuck around, from a raw first-round pick to a role-hopping enforcer to a steady locker room mentor for young guys in Indiana. That transition from wrecking ball to wise vet is whiplash. Oh, and in 2014, he was arrested for domestic assault, but the case vanished when the accuser skipped court. Not exactly the type of career arc you see every day. James Johnson's a strange mix of mystery, menace, and mentorship, equal parts fact and fog. Gilbert Arenas. He called himself Agent Zero because nobody believed in him, and then he exploded into a 3-time All-Star, most improved player, and dropped 60 points in a game. He was flashy, funny, lethal on the court, and loved trolling opponents with buzzer beaters and post-game quotes that read like stand-up routines. But that legend unraveled fast. In December 2009, he brought 4 guns into the Wizards locker room during a gambling beef with teammate Javaris Crittenton. He laid them out with a note. Pick one. Crittenton pulled a loaded one of his own. They both got suspended for the season, and the fallout ended both of their careers. Arenas later said, "That moment erased everything. You can do 100 things right." And he was right. He got amnestied by Orlando, flamed out in Memphis, played overseas, and vanished from NBA relevance. Then came the weird rebound. He co-hosts podcasts, pops up in Netflix docs, and still tells wild stories with that same chaotic charm. His career flipped from superstar prankster to cautionary tale overnight. Arenas didn't just cross a line. He jogged past it holding 4 guns and a smirk. His legacy is brilliant, reckless, and unmistakably weird. Hasheem Thabeet, drafted 2nd overall in 2009, right before future Hall of Famers. That alone would have been wild, but it only gets weirder. He averaged just over 2 points and 2 rebounds a game across 224 appearances. You could blink and miss his entire NBA impact. In college, he was swatting shots like he was allergic to basketballs. He averaged over 4 blocks a game at UConn and even had a triple-double that included 10 blocks. But in the NBA, not even 1 block a game. Before his rookie season even finished, Memphis sent him to the D-League. He became the tallest and highest drafted player ever demoted there. That's not a record anyone wants. Then came the mental crash. He admitted the pressure broke him, and despite training with NBA veterans, he never found his way back. His career turned into a travel blog, playing in Japan, Taiwan, Tanzania, and wherever else needed a very tall man with no stat sheet. To top it off, a blog once wrote a fake letter from his hair blaming takeout and heartbreak. Parody or not, it sealed his spot in the weirdest player hall forever. Keith Claus, standing 7'3" and weighing just over 200 pounds, he looked more like a walking ladder than a center. At Central Connecticut State, he averaged nearly 6 blocks per game, a record still untouched in Division I. Despite that, he went undrafted in 1997, and somehow, the Clippers still gave him over $8 million. His NBA run, about 1 block per game, under 4 points, and barely 3 rebounds. But he led the team in blocks per 48 minutes, which made him a stat sheet puzzle. Then came the CBA, where he led in blocks again while barely scoring 7. His weirdness goes beyond stats, though. Claus admitted to drinking since grade school. That spiraled into 3 DUIs, secret drinking habits, and a public intoxication arrest. He started recovery in 2007 and actually stayed on track after bouncing through China. In other minor leagues, he eventually became a coach in the Dominican Republic. Now he works with youth and speaks publicly about recovery. From towering enigma to global shot blocker to reformed mentor, Claus might be the only player to turn rock bottom into a job application. His story's equal parts strange, sad, and kind of inspiring. Mark Eaton. Before swatting shots in the NBA, he was literally fixing cars. He worked as a mechanic in California, nowhere near a basketball court, until a coach convinced him to try junior college. He got drafted in the 4th round at age 26. That's usually the age player's peak, not start. In 1985, he blocked 456 shots in 1 season. That's over 5 blocks a game. Still the most in league history. No one else has even come close. His career average, 3.5. Pure defense, minimal everything else. 1 game, he scored 12 points, grabbed 20 rebounds, and had 14 blocks, but shot 1 for 12. That's the most defense-heavy, bricklaying stat line ever recorded. He never averaged more than 9 points, yet he anchored Utah's paint for 11 straight years. Same team, same job, just blocking everything. After retirement, he got into biking, which sounds harmless, unless you're 7'4". He had a custom-built frame and wheels made just for him. In 2021, he died in a bicycle accident just a block from home. From fixing engines to blocking legends, his life was one wild, unexpected curveball after another. Strange, singular, and unforgettable. Chris Kaman, nicknamed Caveman for his wild, stringy blonde hair. He leaned hard into the look and the oddball vibe. He once allegedly posed with a dead cat and cooked up a fake story about Blake Griffin punching Justin Bieber. Tabloids ran with it. Later in his career, he literally fell asleep on the Lakers bench during a game. Just sat there and dozed off while the team played. He had 66 games with over 20 points, but never cracked 30. Not once. For a starter, with over 10 years in the league, that's basically a unicorn stat. He averaged 11 points, just under 8 rebounds, and made an all-star team in 2010, which still feels like an accident. Born in Michigan, he somehow became a German citizen in 2008 and played in the Olympics without speaking German. Diagnosed with ADHD as a toddler, he eventually opened up about it publicly, which made him even more relatable. Then came the clog. Yes, clogs. A streetwear company came-in basketball clogs that honored his odd legacy. No drama, no scandals, just pure weird. His career is a quiet celebration of being your own person in a league that rarely rewards it. Eddie Curry, he didn't touch a basketball until 7th grade because he wanted to be a gymnast. Not even joking, but by senior year, he bulldozed Illinois high school courts and took home Mr. Basketball. Then came the heart issues. In 2005, Curry missed games for irregular heartbeats. The Bulls told him to take a DNA test to rule out a serious condition. He said no. They traded him. That's how he ended up in New York, nicknamed Baby Shaq, but somehow went 2 for 2 from 3. That's right, he never missed from deep. 2 shots, 2 makes. A perfect 3-point record for a 7-footer built to live in the paint. He made over $70 million in the league and still had a home foreclosed in 2009, then got evicted in 2021. After bouncing from the Bulls to the Knicks, he even got a ring with Miami. But then came China and later ASEAN leagues, long after his prime. And then the truly grim part, a lawsuit from his chauffeur and the devastating murder of his ex-girlfriend and infant daughter. Curry's story isn't just weird, it's staggering, with every chapter stranger and more tragic than the last. Smush Parker, born William, but legally changed his name to the one his mom gave him, Smush. That's how things start. He went undrafted in 2002 and still ended up starting 162 straight games for the Lakers. No hype, no draft night, just Smush. Then came the Kobe feud. Smush called his Lakers run overrated. Kobe responded by saying he never should have been in the league at all. Brutal. They never patched things up before Kobe passed. On top of that, Smush got suspended by the Heat after allegedly assaulting a parking attendant over $12. Later, he reportedly punched a teenage player while officiating a pickup game. Off the court, he played professionally in over 10 countries. Russia, Iran, Mongolia, you name it. 17 years of bouncing around, chasing the game wherever it took him. And now, he's trying to become an NBA referee. Almost no former players have done that. His stats were modest, 9 points, nearly 3 assists, a steal per game. But his story is packed with strange turns. From modeling in high school to being called the aviator on streetball courts, Smush Parker didn't follow the rules. Now he wants to enforce them. Delon Wright, drafted in 2015, he somehow played for 10 teams in 10 seasons. That's not normal for a first-round pick, but he keeps getting roster spots because teams love what he does on defense. He ranks near the top in defensive foul rate every year. He's physical without hacking, smart without being flashy, but offensively, almost invisible. He rarely shoots, barely drives, and lets others take the spotlight. It's strange, but effective. What makes it more interesting is his tattoo setup. His chest and arms are covered in a full mural of his life story. South Central, his family, his journey, all inked across his body. Not the usual for a quiet role player. He also dropped 3 career triple-doubles, including back-to-back ones in 2019. That's rare for any player, let alone one with such low usage. Then there's his playoff pop-up with the Knicks in 2025. Traded mid-season, barely used, then suddenly logging key Eastern Conference finals minutes and helping outscore Indiana when he was on the court. Add in his start at junior college and rise to the Pac-12's best guard, and you've got a career arc that never follows the script. Odd, efficient, and quietly unpredictable. Matthew Dellavedova, listed at 6'4" and barely 190 pounds, he's built more like a mailman than an NBA guard. He never dunked on anyone, never crossed a soul into retirement, and yet somehow became a defensive nightmare in the final. One game, he literally missed the team bus and had to take an Uber back. His teammate joked, they forgot he existed. Off the court, he's basically your cousin. Rides public transport, plays board games, and once called his teenage look a beard and brace his situation. Before games, he had to pee. That was his focus strategy. Pre-game leak, he called it totally serious, and the cramps. During the 2015 finals, he cramped up so badly, he went to the hospital. Later, he turned that into a business, launching a coffee blend called Good Day Mate. He's also got ADH, and somehow pairs that with high IQ play. Loved by LeBron, Kobe, and Barkley. Though some called him reckless, never flashy, never loud, but somehow always there. He's the only finals folk hero who got famous for sweat, caffeine, board games, and a bathroom break. He's weird, he's real, and it all actually happened. Tyler Hansbrough. In college, they called him Psycho T, and it fit too well. He led North Carolina in scoring and rebounding every season, won every award in 2008, and was basically the human version of a Red Bull can. Opponents hated him. One coach even clocked that he got cursed out every 5 minutes. In the NBA, his energy stayed high, but his numbers did not. Just under 7 points and 4 rebounds per game. Over 428 appearances. From NCAA legend to very forgettable bench guy. And then there was the vertigo. He missed games with it in 2010, which made his signature chaos look like a glitchy simulation. Injuries piled on, and he quietly fell out of the league. But overseas, completely different guy. He went to China and dropped 32 points a game in the CBA. Then, while still playing there, he popped up doing TV work. Yes, a live pro athlete, calling games during his own season. The guy who once had players literally tackling him became a world-traveling, studio-suited veteran. His whole story's like a gritty highlight reel taped over with reruns of 2 totally different lives. Jared Dudley, 14 NBA seasons, 7 teams, 1 title, and about 10,000 jokes. He was a reliable bench guy who somehow started 162 straight games and then got caught napping during others, literally sleeping. On camera, he created a fake sports network called JMZ, where he'd ambush teammates in the locker room with parody interviews, way before players turned into content creators. In 2014, he went 10 for 10 from the field and 4 for 4 from deep in one game. That's a shooting clinic from a guy best known for glue work and grunts. And yes, he never missed a dunk in his career. 36 for 36. Perfection, but in the weirdest possible stat line. During the bubble, he confessed to missing a female companion, which was probably the most relatable moment of that entire postseason. Off the court, he co-wrote an ebook and spoke up during the league's social justice meetings. Now he's coaching in Dallas, like he just wandered from the bench to the clipboard. Dudley was the NBA's background actor who kept stealing scenes. A napper, a mentor, a prankster, and a dunking anomaly, somehow all wrapped into one quiet, weird package. Mason Plumlee, built like a classic big man at 6'10" and 254 pounds, but dishes out assists like he's auditioning for point guard. In 2017, he ranked in the 93rd percentile for screen assists. Yes, that's a real stat. And yes, he dominated it. Then there's his free throws. Midway through his career, he just decided to start shooting left-handed. No real explanation. Sometimes, he even switched hands between attempts. In 2021, at age 30, he notched his first career triple-double. 17 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, making him the oldest first-timer since Patrick Ewing. And no, he didn't do it by dominating the paint. He passed his way in. Fast forward to March 2025. He got ejected after wrestling Steven Adams to the floor. No punches, just elbows, tangled limbs, and a mutual trip to the locker room. Off the court, he's part of a 3-brother dynasty. Miles, Marshall, and Mason each played at Duke and all reached the NBA. Drafted in 2013, he's bounced between 7 teams, yet quietly shoots over 60% from the field. Plumlee's a strange mix of efficiency, instability, and ambidextrous chaos. A truly weird basketball life. If you enjoyed this, I'm gonna be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.